'22-23 American Hockey League season is over for the Belleville Senators, and that means just one more episode of the Belleville Sens podcast left before we shift into off-season mode as we welcome you to episode 14. David Foote, Joel Vanderland here. On this week's show, we're going to discuss the final 3 games of the season for the Belleville Sens. We'll talk about the year overall. We'll hear from Belleville Sens GM Ryan Bowness, Ottawa Senators GM Pierre Dorion. Get to know your FO, our final installment with Byron DeRose from the operations department, and all of our exit interviews, all 20 plus of them, will be tacked on to the end of this program so that you'll be able to hear from all your favorite Belleville Senators. We're going to end up putting the time codes up at BellevilleSens.com so you can breeze through if there's someone specific you're looking to hear from, but we will have all of those coming up for your listening pleasure over the next little while. And a bit of a tough finish to the season, to say the least, Joel, but not after the Sens went on a pretty good run right before the season finale in Toronto. Belleville finishing on that tough 3-3 that we'd been talking about last week. They end up picking up a couple of wins to start in Rochester and Toronto, and then they get dropped a bit on the Sunday afternoon in their final game of the season. What did you make of the final weekend overall? Because it seemed like a team that was really knocking at the door of the Calder Cup playoffs and just coming out on the wrong side of things.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And I think when you look over the final weekend, I think there's a lot of positives you can take out of it. Leevi Merilainen shines in another game for him. Dylan Ferguson gets a little bit of revenge over the Toronto Marlies as he beats them. And then you see the offensive output that this team has put together, and you see Rourke Chartier hit 20 goals. You see Roby Jarventie continue to put the puck in the back of the net. Egor Sokolov hits that eluded assist mark as he sets the franchise record for most assists in the club's history. So I think when you look back at the weekend overall, I think you got to be pretty happy with it, albeit I know there's a little bit of disappointment missing the Calder Cup playoffs, and that's certainly gonna carry. These guys are gonna carry that feeling for a little bit here. But I think David Bell did a good job of getting his team ready for the final weekend, making sure that they were still on the right track, and they get a couple pretty dominant victories. And then Sunday afternoon, just a tough afternoon for the team. And I think when they look back on that game, I think they're gonna see that they didn't give up or necessarily. I think the score line is a little bit, how would you put it, a little bit weighted more than I think that their game showed. I think there was kind of some miscues that led to goals in the back of the net. But all in all, I don't think you can look at that game and say, well, they gave up or they didn't compete in that hockey game. I think they did.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get to Sunday. Let's start with some of the better performances of the week in Rochester on Friday night. And the Blue Cross Arena has been a tough building for the Sens basically all season, really through their history. And they go into Rochester on Friday night. Rourke Chartier scores a hat trick. Cole Cassels, Egor Sokolov, Roby Jarventie, they all get in on the mix offensively as well. And so does Angus Crookshank in a 7-4 victory, and Leevi Merilainen makes another 22 saves. The Rochester Americans finished in the top 3 of the division, and the Senators put a pretty good beating on them. And to go back to kind of our point from the very opening of the show, like, this is a team that, was already out of things heading into the weekend, but didn't play like a team that was out of the playoff picture.
No, they certainly did not. And when you look at that Friday game, that's a game where I think a lot of things went right for this hockey club, and rightfully so. I think you see the names of the guys that put pucks in the net. You mentioned them all. Those are your top scorers. Those are your offensive leaders, and they really got together. And for the first time all season, they were all together. Really, it looked like, and they made an impact in that hockey game, and they really took over that hockey game at times. And you look at the 4 goals that Rochester scored. and you look at Leevi Merilainen, he helped keep them in that game at times. Rochester made a late push in the third period, and he made 2 outstanding saves, a huge glove save to keep that game 5-4 for Belleville, and then Belleville went on to kind of score twice more and carry out the 7-4 win. But when you look back at that hockey game, Leevi was outstanding at times. The offense was really starting to click. And a big performance by Rourke Chartier is something that this team's been waiting to see from him as he makes his way back from injury.
Depending on who comes back next year, and we'll get into that a little bit later on in this year-in-review episode of the Belleville Sens podcast, these are the guys who are expected to kind of carry the load. And again, it's just a little bit of proof of what this team is capable of and what we perhaps could have seen more of should they have not faced as many injuries and call-ups, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think we need to keep running down all the adversity that this team faced all season long, but it's a glimpse of still what's to come in 23-24 when we flip the schedule again in the fall. And they built off that win on Friday in Rochester. They carried it into a tough building again in Toronto on Saturday. There was a real big crowd at the Coca-Cola Coliseum. The Marlies had been on the schneid and were trying to get off it and find their early season form before they begin their playoff spot. This was a Marlies team that had only won one game since they clinched their playoff spot on St. Patrick's Day. That was against the Belleville Sens back on April 2nd, but the Senators came in with no ill effects from the overnight travel from Rochester. They put up another touchdown against the Marlies and beat them 7-2, and as you alluded to earlier, Dylan Ferguson gets the victory against the team that kind of kicked him to the curb a little bit and was a big factor for Belleville in that matchup.
Yeah, he very much was, and you could see that he was amped up for that game. You could see that he wanted the net, and he turned aside 29 shots in a pretty dominant victory, and he continues to build off his successes throughout the season, and I think he's put himself in a position going into the offseason now where he's going to be a sought-after free agent, especially at this level. And I think, too, with that hockey game, Belleville sets a new single-game franchise record with 5 power play goals, so you start to see what this team could be like if they had all their guys, if they had all their top weapons. You have 2 units out there that can make a difference. Egor Sokolov's back. Rourke Chartier is healthy. Maxence Guenette continues to run one of the top power play units in the league. Lassi Thomson had 3 assists. So I think when you look back at this week, you're going to start to see that these guys had it in them, that this team was built to win hockey games. Like you mentioned, just some adversities got in the way.
Yeah, and more adversity faced on Sunday afternoon in Toronto, and 7-2 loss. Sens were 8 for 9 on the penalty kill for Vitek window and door in a very difficult environment, despite the fact we had 2 busloads of Belleville Sens fans there. Belleville gets into penalty trouble early on. They give up a couple shorthanded goals. Lassi Thomson leaves the game with an injury. Jorian Donovan, who was really good in his debut on Saturday, his pro debut, plays increased minutes on Sunday, and I think you see a young player maybe falling victim to that jump between the Ontario Hockey League and the American Hockey League. Not to single him out, but he was out there for both those shorties against. You go from 2 games where basically everything goes right to 1 game where nothing goes right, and it just so happens that that's the last game of the season.
Yeah, and I think, too, it's tough, right? It's the back end of a 3-3 weekend against, like you mentioned, 2 pretty good hockey clubs, and just wasn't their afternoon. And Matt Sogaard comes down, Leevi Merilainen replaces him in net as well. And I think, too, it's one of those games where I think when you look back, you're just going to push that one to the side. You're not really going to think about it too much. And but there is still positives from that game. Like you mentioned, the penalty kill was outstanding. You saw guys, Matt Wedman, Graham McPhee, Egor Sokolov all assessed 10-minute misconducts. So a short bench, Jorian Donovan gets pushed up. He's got to play some heavy minutes as an 04 born player. And I think, too, it's all learning experiences, right? Yeah. And he's going to take that back to his summer programming when he's working with his dad and Jesse Winchester at the Sensplex. And he's going to know now, okay, I have tape of what to do in these certain situations, right? So I think credit to the organization to get him into some of those hockey games and it's only going to pay dividends for him going forward.
We'll hear from Jorian Donovan, at least you can hear from Jorian Donovan later on. Once we're finished the talk block, we'll call it, of the 14th episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. Again, we're going to play an interview from the weekend with Belleville Sens GM Ryan Bowness, with Ottawa Sens GM Pierre Dorion. Really good insight from both of those guys about what the offseason looks like for this team. And then after that, we're going to put one big chunk of exit interviews together, and we'll, again, give you the time code so you can find your favorite players and hear from them. Or if, hey, you're on a long drive or a long walk or something like that, just let them run, and you'll be able to hear from everybody. We talked to everybody during Locker Cleanout Day yesterday, and some really good quotes and some really nice messages to be shared from the players coming up later on in the program. The loss means that Belleville finishes the season in 7th place, last place in the North Division, but only a point out of 6th and only 4 points out of the playoff spot in 5th. Laval Rocket end up clinching that last spot. They'll play the Utica Comets in a best-of-3 series. The winner of that will play the Toronto Marlies. The other series in the North Division will be Syracuse and Rochester, and that is going to be a battle. Those are two fierce upstate New York rivals. Neither of those teams like each other very much. That will be a fun series to follow along with. Toronto Marlies will get the bye through the first round because they finished first, and again, they'll get the winner of Laval and Utica, and I think either way, Toronto might be in tough based on how they've been playing down the stretch. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Sens finished the season with Angus Crookshank as the leading goal scorer with 26. Cole Cassels, the leading assist getter with 39, just missing out on tying that record for assists in a season. Egor Sokolov breaks the franchise record, a bunch of them, but for points in a season, he didn't.
No, Drake Batherson still has that record at 62.
62, so Egor comes 3 short of breaking another Drake Batherson record. We'll talk to Egor about that as well coming up. Angus Crookshank and Roby Jarventie finished with 12 power play goals each to lead the club. Jake Lucchini leads the Belleville Sens and the league in shorthanded goals with 4. Matt Boucher, who we're going to have a really good interview with coming up, on 2 PTOs. Here the whole season playing on tryouts, a +10, and that's extremely impressive. From that, I want to call him a power forward. He's a little guy, but he's feisty. He gets in the corners.
Yeah, he's a good two-way forward, I think, is a good way to put it with him. And coming into this season, I think a lot of people looked at him as kind of an offensive guy, right, with his talents at the University of New Brunswick and with the Quebec Ramparts and throughout his ECHL career. But he's really made a name for himself as a good two-way player in this league now, and I think he's put himself in an advantageous position going into contract talks as well.
Antoine Bibeau is the winningest goaltender on the club this year. He only had 9 victories, but again, spread that out over almost a dozen goaltenders, and that's going to be the most. Leevi Merilainen comes in, plays 3 games, outstanding in all 3 performances. His goals against 2.06, his save percentage 933. He was so good in the 3 games he came back, plus got a couple games up in the National Hockey League and didn't look out of place as well. Again, we'll have some thoughts on him, and we'll get you management's thoughts on him as well coming up as we continue on with this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. As we head to our first break of the show, we'll leave you with our highlight of the week. The final one of the season comes from Leevi Merilainen during that game in Rochester back on Friday. Stay with us. We're back with Ryan Bowness, the general manager of the Belleville Senators, when we return. And not able to get a connection there was Daoust. Funneled in behind the net for Murray. Set out in front. Weissbach is robbed by Leevi Merilainen. What a glove save by Leevi Merilainen on Linus Weissbach at the edge of the crease. Weissbach had all kinds of room to tie the game, and Leevi lifts it away. Back on episode 14 of the Belleville Sens podcast, David Foote, Joel Vanderland here as we continue with this final episode of the regular season. We do have plans to bring you some intermittent podcasts through the off-season. We'll try to keep you as up-to-date as possible on the Calder Cup playoffs in the coming weeks, and once that finishes up, we'll likely go back to just kind of summer updates, maybe one podcast a month to give you the latest headlines and news, signings, that type of thing throughout the course of the summer. So make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening. You won't miss an episode as we cut back a little bit through the summertime, and rate and review the show as well. That would be much, much appreciated as we finish off this first season of the program, the first year of the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network, which unbiasedly, or maybe biasedly, I think was a great success. And we're just trying to build all this coverage as we move forward into the offseason and into 23-24 in October. This was an unsuccessful year. If you ask anybody, we spoke to head coach Dave Bell about the season. We spoke to assistant coach Ben Sexton. We've talked to, as we said, all of the players who you'll be able to hear from coming up a little bit later on in the show. Nobody's satisfied with how this season ended because, of course, the Sens missed the playoffs, and the goal every year is to make the postseason and see how far you can go. That said, this was not a season without its high points either, or its highlights, or its great stories. We had so many really good stories to share throughout the course of the season, and I think it made for some really intriguing hockey watching throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, it definitely did, and I think, too, the other thing you got to remember is this is a developmental league, right? And I think we've seen a lot of guys take steps in the right direction. I know in the interview with Ryan Bowness and the interview with Pierre Dorion, they'll echo those thoughts, and they're very happy with the way that certain players progress throughout the season. I think they're happy with the way things have gone in Belleville overall, with the way that the facility's set up and the fan support that they receive here too. So I think from those standpoints, it's definitely a season to look back on with some fond memories. I think too, throughout the exit interviews, a lot of guys echoed those thoughts that especially coming out through COVID, they were able to make some more inroads with the community as well. So I think there's still a lot of good things that happened this season. Obviously, on the hockey side, people are always disappointed when you can't get to the Calder Cup playoffs.
And Ryan Bowness will be our first executive interview, if you will, and finishing his first season in this role really came in a little bit late. Like, there was enough time for him to put his mark on the team, but he didn't have a true full off-season after joining this team from the Penguins organization last summer. And I think he was able to kind of put his stamp on things. And obviously, he was very busy through the season with all the players that he had to acquire. But this is the guy basically responsible for building the roster here in Belleville, and he'll have a lot of really good insight for fans that didn't catch this interview on the broadcast on the weekend.
Yeah, certainly, and I think, too, a lot of credit goes back to him to getting this team to 500 even. You look, 53 players, 10 goaltenders. His mark is all over this club, finding goalies to sign, PTOs, finding players to come in, and you look at Jared Luco-Savages, you look at Kyle Betts, we talked about Matthew Boucher, finding these guys, and then allowing the coaching staff to develop them properly and let them become key cogs in this whole machine. And I think Ryan Bowness has done a great job at that, and I think it will be interesting to see over a whole offseason, like you mentioned, him start to put his fingerprints even more on this club.
So here is Belleville Sens General Manager, Ottawa Senators Assistant General Manager Ryan Bowness on episode 14 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Thanks for taking a few minutes, Ryan.
Anytime, David. Thanks for having me.
I know it's been a busy week for you guys, getting from Buffalo and then Rochester and now back here in Toronto, so we do appreciate the time, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Just want to start kind of on your overall thoughts on the season. Obviously, everybody's disappointed to not get into the playoffs, but how do you feel about the campaign overall this year?
Yeah, like I said, I think certainly any time you miss the playoffs the way we are here, there's certainly a level of disappointment. I think we have to look at the bigger picture and realize some of the adversity that we went through this year. Obviously, with the injury situation that we're having to use 52 players, 10 goaltenders. Certainly doesn't help things with first of all with the injury situation here, and then coupled with Ottawa when there's that trickle down effect when those things happen, and obviously with the coaching change, there were certainly some things that went into play there that probably affected things at the time. But hey, listen, we gotta draw on the positives and look at some of the guys that have developed another year under their belt in pro hockey and take those out of it. But certainly, like you said, certainly a level of disappointment when you miss the playoffs. Yeah,
it sucks to miss out, but I think I look at last night as kind of an example of just how tight this division is. I mean, Cleveland's just going to miss by that much, and obviously this team has been so competitive against everybody in the division. It really is one of the toughest in the AHL to get out of, even when 5 teams get in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were right into it as late as this week, obviously, with the 3-team battle between us and Cleveland and Laval, and we played Laval hard all year in Cleveland, as you said. And when you look at it, like you said, the game last night in Rochester, we fought right hard until the end of that one and rebounded from a slow start. So could have gone either way. I think maybe with a break here or there, and again pointing back to the injury situation, it could have been a different story. But we don't like to dwell on the what ifs.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say that was the biggest challenge this year, the dealing with those injuries and all the roster moves?
Absolutely. I think, when, especially at this level and coupled with my responsibilities in Ottawa, there's that trickle-down effect where I have to be kind of on top of the situation on both teams. So, we figure out our situation in Ottawa. An injury happens there, we call somebody up from Belleville, and then I'm searching to sign a PTO or a player to fill in Belleville once that transaction's done. So certainly that's been probably the biggest challenge of the season, but hey, we learn from them and we grow from them.
Now, what about highlights? Because it certainly hasn't been all negative for this team. There have been a lot of things I think that fans can be happy about, and hopefully the organization can be happy about as well.
Yeah, like you said, we're a development league, and just seeing the growth in some players like Sokolov and Angus Crookshank and Max Guenette, and watching Ridley Greig go up and down and play some meaningful minutes in Ottawa. I think we have to draw on the positives there, and just like you said, monitor the players that have improved over the course of the season, because at the end of the day, this is a development league, and I think our coaching staff has done a wonderful job of making sure that happens.
Chatting with Belleville Sens General Manager, Ottawa Assistant General Manager Ryan Bowness. What does the offseason look like for you, and is it something that you've already been kind of looking ahead at, even though the season's still winding down?
Absolutely. We look at things a year or two in advance all the time. We're always tinkering and playing with our board and wondering who's going to be open, what slots are going to be open. Now, obviously, it starts in Ottawa, and we've already started that process of roster preparation. And then once we have an idea there, we can have the trickle-down effect there. But the reality is we're going to have some changes. There's going to be some new faces in here. First of all, some signed players in Ottawa. They're going to have an impact next year. And then, like you said, once new ownership situation gets settled, we'll have a better idea of what we'll be able to spend from an American League player standpoint. And so tough to really plan until that takes place, yeah. But the wheels are certainly already in motion.
Is there some hope that will have a positive impact on, obviously it's going to have a positive impact on the whole organization, but on the AHL club specifically?
Yeah, I would think so. I have ideas in mind of improvements that we can make, and I can just, the only thing I can do is be prepared to, hopefully when that time takes place where they take over, to present them my thoughts and experience where I think this team can go, and where we're at from a budgetary standpoint, who we can add, where we can improve things. So we're prepared for that. We'll be ready for whenever we get our opportunity, but like I said, I hope it's a positive thing for both clubs.
You mentioned some of those guys who've been up and down and are kind of knocking on the door of the National Hockey League. And without naming names, do you have maybe a number on how many guys might be able to make that jump from Belleville next season? Yeah,
I don't want to get into specific names like you say, but I would think there's probably 2 or 3 strong candidates, and then there's always a surprise or two here and there that a player forces your hand, and which is a good thing. Yeah. I think there are plenty of examples of that take place. A perfect example this year would probably be Mark Kastelik. He kind of, in the summer, it wasn't like he was in pen for a roster spot in Ottawa, but he came in with a wonderful training camp and really turned some eyes and worked his way into a contract extension on a one-way contract. So those types of things happen. You can have names written down on pencil that you think you're going to get there, but the reality is that's why you play the games. That's why you go to training camp. That's why we do what we do. So hopefully there's some surprises here or there too that can turn our heads.
And maybe lastly, Jorian Donovan's going to make his pro debut here this afternoon. Leevi Merilainen has been incredible for Belleville since coming back over from Europe. How important, even with the playoffs out of reach, are these late season games for those really young prospects to kind of get their feet wet and get a taste of what pro hockey's really like?
Well, I mean, first, to answer the first part of your question, they're crucial. Like I said, our message to the group after we were officially eliminated the other night against Laval was, hey, we're still going to be monitoring these last 3 games. There's going to be people in the stands that are watching you. We're certainly going to be seeing how guys react to those situations. And then from a prospect perspective, absolutely. Thrilled for Jorian Donovan to get this opportunity. He had a really strong season in Hamilton this year. Unfortunately, they had a tough series against Barrie that eliminated him last Sunday, and we were able to get him in here pretty quick. But no, he's a great kid. He's a good prospect for us. So anxious to see how he can take a step with a game or two here at the end of the season. And same with Leevi. You know, he's a kid that came over from Finland really with no expectations, and all of a sudden he plays his first game in Belleville, gets a shutout. He's thrust up top to and played some strong games up top in Ottawa too. But really been impressed by him in the viewings here, and obviously watching him from afar on video and everything overseas this year, and just getting an up close view of him recently has been wonderful. And like I said, I think we're pretty strong from a prospect perspective in the crease, and we can just look to grow on that.
Yeah, growth is the key, I think, moving into next season. Ryan Bowness, General Manager of the Belleville Sens and Assistant GM of Ottawa. Thanks again for the time. Appreciate it.
Anytime, David.
So lots of good stuff there from Ryan Bowness and his evaluation of the season. And again, it is going to seem a little bit redundant, especially if you listen through all 20 of the exit interviews that we've got coming up later on in the show. Because like we said at the start of this the segment here, nobody is happy with the way the season finished, but there is a lot to look forward to, and I think you could kind of sense that optimism in the tone and in the discussion coming from Ryan Bowness.
Yeah, you definitely can, and I think like we've said throughout, I think there's a lot of things that he looks at as positives throughout the season, and I think certainly he should. And I think one of the main things that we always talk about is this is a developmental league. Players are continuing to develop here. I think he didn't go in to name all the guys that can make a jump into the NHL. I know Pierre Dorion went a little more in depth on that, but I think we can look at the list of players here and kind of see who was able to do that. And I think it's pretty outstanding to the amount of career years we saw statistically. Egor Sokolov breaking a bunch of records, and then we go back to the community aspect of it all, and it puts together a pretty nice year.
Yeah, absolutely does. We'll touch on some of those individual performances after we hear from Ottawa Senators General Manager Pierre Dorion. He's coming up next on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network. Stick with us on episode number 14 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Rolling along on this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast, episode 14. Thanks again to Ryan Bowness for his time on the weekend in Toronto. Our next guest, also quite generous with his time on Sunday in Toronto, Ottawa Senators General Manager Pierre Dorion. And this was an exciting interview to do, not just because it's the general manager of the NHL club, but because we really got to talk about the relationship between Belleville and Ottawa, and really try to shine a light on where if Ryan's interview was more about building the roster and it, exactly what's happening in Belleville, this discussion with Pierre is more about the impact that Belleville has on Ottawa, and that what happens here does have I guess you can't really trickle up, but it does trickle up in a sense to the NHL, and we see the direct results of, as you said earlier, the development in the AHL in Belleville, in the NHL in Ottawa.
Yeah, and it's always good to get the insights of a guy like Pierre Dorion and kind of see from his expertise and his roster building and his developmental mind who's making those steps. We can kind of see through stats, and we watch games, and you were there for all 72 of them, and you can kind of paint a picture a little bit, but it's always nice to get that validation from a guy like Pierre Dorion. I mean, he's been the general manager of the Ottawa Senators for the last 7 years, so he's drafted all these guys. He's seen them through development camps, through rookie camps, through their junior careers, and put a nice little bow on it all, and head into the offseason with kind of a more complete picture of what he saw this season.
And if you're curious as to who's got a shot to make the jump to the National Hockey League from Belleville next year, the GM is not going to shy away. He'll name names. He'll tell you exactly who he expects to see more from and who he hopes to see more from coming up when the season turns over here in October. So Ottawa Senators General Manager Pierre Dorion, our next guest on the Belleville Sens podcast. Appreciate it, sir. Thanks for dropping by.
My pleasure to be here, David.
I know, obviously, your attention is mostly taken up by what's happening in Ottawa, but naturally, you also follow along with Belleville. What have you made of Belleville's season this year? Obviously disappointing to not make the playoffs, but how have you felt about this campaign overall?
Overall, fairly happy. Fairly happy that a lot of our prospects have taken big strides. Happy about the veteran leadership that's been here. Obviously, we wanted to be playing the playoffs here. But sometimes you can't control a lot of things that happen as far as injuries up top, which affects obviously your players available here. And we were bitten by the injury bug, and it was unfortunate. And unfortunately, that affects the Belleville players at times.
But you mentioned obviously the development. I think is the highlight. We've seen a lot of guys get a taste of the NHL. Some guys maybe improve their position on the depth chart. Would you say that's kind of been the big highlight of the year from the Belleville perspective?
For sure.
Yeah.
Obviously. Matt's coming up playing so well. Mando coming up playing so well. Being a great pro. He went to the Coast League, accepted, did everything we asked, and that's one of the reasons he got called up for some games. We had injuries, but we could have brought him or someone else up, so we just made that decision. You look at the progress of Ridley Greig. We wanted to play him 50 games before he was going to get called up, but we just felt at this point in time he'd played enough. You look at how JBD's taken a huge stride. I looked at Max, only played one game, but he showed that he's got the chance to be a legit NHL player. We want to give some games to Sokolov at the end. We were able to do that, and he showed that he's knocking on the door too.
And I think one of the things we're trying to get across, especially to the fans in Belleville, is just the impact on player development that the AHL club has. And really this year seems to be kind of a model of that, how great of an impact and how quick of an impact the AHL club can have on getting guys to the NHL.
No, without a doubt. If you do things right at this level, then it's going to be beneficial for your team in the short, medium, and long term. And that impact about developing the players at the right pace, but that it's also for guys that get called up. Who would have told you that Jake Lucchini would have been called up and played those amount of games? Yeah. So he did it right here. Same thing with Rourke Chartier. He was playing some really good hockey down here, and we just felt that even though I wouldn't consider him at the age of a younger prospect, we just felt it was the right thing to call him up at that point in time.
What is the benefit to getting so many guys, even a little taste of NHL experience?
Well, I think they understand what it's all about. You can tell them as much as you can until they live it, and they live how faster the game is, how the execution is, how everyone, for the most of the time, is always in the right spot. It just allows you to, they can see it for themselves, they can analyze themselves, especially the players that really have a good hockey IQ and understand the game. They understand what they have to do, because a lot of times you're going to play a different game down here than you will play up top, because you get so little room up top.
Chatting with Ottawa Senators General Manager Pierre Dorion for a couple more minutes. Obviously the offseason is upon us here. And there's a lot to worry about for you in Ottawa, but how much focus and how much do you guys look at the Belleville roster throughout the course of the summer as well to try to add those pieces that will help support the developing prospects?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on. Obviously, with Ryan, Bowness, and Sean McCauley, they spend a lot of time, making sure that the guys that we bring in, as far as veterans, are high-character guys. I was really been impressed with the work that Ryan put in this summer for the guys he put on this team. And at the same time, we always consult with the coaches. But you'd be surprised. People think that it's definitely not an afterthought for us. We put a lot of time when all our pro scouts come in before free agency. We meet in June, and we spend quite a. I think people would be shocked how much time we spend, and we feel it's very important, especially with our partnership with Belleville, to make sure that we surround our young players with really good people to start off, and get them a chance, to showcase themselves for a possible call-up.
We asked Ryan Bowness this yesterday as well, and without naming names, because we don't want to put anybody on the spot, is there a number perhaps of Belleville players that could make that full-time jump next season?
Oh, we can name names.
Sure.
David, I like you, so why don't we name names?
All right.
Okay.
Who do you like?
Right now, obviously, if you look on the back end, you got to look at a guy like Matt Sogaard. Yeah, I think he'll challenge for a spot next year. Obviously, on defense, I think Bernard Docker, it's probably his spot to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were really impressed with Max Guenette. Has been unbelievable this year. I think we all expected more out of Lassi. So those would be, quickly 3 names that, that probably people are going to have to notice at camp, and they're going to have good camps. Up front, I think he's led our team this year, Egor Sokolov. We wanted to get him those games at the end so he understood what it was about. So when he trains, he's led our team. He's done everything he's asked to. I think Egor knows that he's got to come to camp in better shape than he showed up last year.
Yeah.
You know what? It's your livelihood. You got to put the effort. But as far as his attitude here, his work ethic, we can't question that, and he shows that he wants it. You got to look at a guy like Greig, but if they ever do come back, for their stints up there, guys like Lucchini and Chartier played really well. We would have called up Sabi this year if he wouldn't got hurt. He really got hurt at the wrong time. So in a nutshell, and I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, Dillon Heatherington, when he's been a call-up, has been good. Same thing with Jacob Larsson. We know Dillon's with us again next year. So obviously those are 2 guys, and just I think I've hit everyone. I forgot someone. I apologize. But in a guy like a guy like Cole Reinhardt and Angus Crookshank are 2 guys that they've got to come in camp in unbelievable shape. Like Angus this year was going to play probably the whole year here. Yeah. But those 2 guys that have contributed in different roles. Angus probably has a bit more offensive upside. Cole will be able to play that 3rd, 4th line role. Mm-hmm. But they've got to come in great shape. They don't realize the impact that you can have on a coach when you're at the top of the conditioning when you step into camp. Yeah. So guys like that, next year they're going, last year of their entry-level deals, they've got to come in and show that they can play games consistently if they don't make it, but you never know the type of impact that we want, because we're going to be a cap team next year. So we need those cheap entry-level guys, those cheaper guys to fit in. So I think guys like that, in different roles, like Cole is more of a role player. Angus might have a bigger upside, but that doesn't mean you play if you got the bigger upside. So those would be guys offhand, and I hope I didn't forget anyone here that I think a lot of our fans should be excited about for next year. Yeah,
lots to look forward to next year. Lastly, one of the things we've been getting a lot of questions about is just how the ownership change might affect Belleville. Are you able to speak to that at all, or just too many moving parts?
No, the only thing I'll say is that the ownership process, I meeted with them, I talked to them about hockey, and Belleville is very important. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Mr. Melnick owned the Belleville team. Yep. I always call them the Belleville Bulls back in my days. I know they're not the Belleville Bulls, but by the way,
we did wear the jerseys the other week.
I watched that. For people that don't know, I'd say probably I've seen 60 of the games. 60. I think I hit 60 in person or on my iPad. I always watch them the next day. I fast forward, sometimes through it. Yeah. But part of the process is indicating to them how important Belleville is to our success, and I think they're both, the Ottawa Senators as a whole entity, and Belleville's part of that entity.
Yeah, lots to look forward to, as we say. Pierre Dorion's the general manager of the Ottawa Senators. Thank you again so much for the time and the insight. Really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you, David.
Again, thanks to Ottawa Senators General Manager Pierre Dorion for that chat on Sunday during the game in Toronto. A lot of really good stuff from Pierre. He seemed pretty open and pretty pleased to talk about what was happening in Belleville, despite the fact that, again, the team is not in the playoffs. And a lot of, I feel, pretty fair evaluations of some of our players over the course of the season.
Yeah, and I think that's always a positive when you have a guy like Pierre Dorion being as open as he is and kind of allowing fans to get the complete picture of what's going on. And I know that interview was well received by the fans as well. So always nice to get some insights from a guy like Pierre Dorion, and always nice to see that guys are progressing the right way, and that the season was a positive in his mind as well.
Was there anything that stood out for you in his in his interview, because there were a couple things for me, especially in that segment where he was basically naming players, and I think he listed almost everybody on the roster. And again, that I think leads to what we've talked about all season long in terms of Belleville being kind of the land of opportunity. And one of the fastest roads to the NHL is almost through Belleville. But he talked about the defense and saying Jacob Bernard-Docker basically has a spot to lose in Ottawa next season, and he'd like to see more from Lassi Thomson, and Cole Reinhardt, if he can get it together, might get a look next season. Egor Sokolov could make the full-time jump should he have a strong camp, which I think all of us knew. What stood out to you in that discussion?
I think, like you mentioned, kind of the openness of it all, and talking about where guys stand in the organizational depth chart. I think that stood out to me a little bit. I think it's refreshing to hear, though. You want as a fan or in the media kind of get insights into all this stuff. I think too. I think the openness about Lassi Thomson stood out to me a little bit. But then again, I think he's sending a message, right? And he wants that out there. I think too, it was nice to hear about Egor Sokolov and kind of get that validation that he is as close as he is to making a full-time NHL jump. Because I think we were talking throughout the season is when was he going to get his NHL recall this year? When was he going to make that step? And he got it late. He impressed certainly when he was up there over those last couple weeks, and I think it's nice to hear that as well, because he's been such a big piece of this organization, not even on the ice, off the ice, and it's good to see that. And Jacob Bernard-Docker too. I think there was some questions about him coming up and down and where does he stand, right? I think it's pretty clear where he stands now in the minds of the general manager and the coaching staff up there in Ottawa.
Yeah, and he had a lot of good things to say about a lot of players. I thought the point about Ridley Greig, where he was saying, well, we wanted Ridley. We had kind of a hard cap on 50 games in the AHL before we called him up, but we just couldn't wait that long anymore and had to give him a look, and I know DJ Smith was pleased about that. These plans are always made. They sometimes change based on performance, but it really was nice for him to, again, be that open and honest and transparent with how the organization is handling the development of its prospects, because it means so much to us here in Belleville.
Yeah, it really does, and I think too, even when we saw Leevi Merilainen come down for that last bit of the season, well, now you know that you have a guy for next year that can play in this league and play pretty well as to that point as well. So I think all in all, looking back at the development of all these guys and the way that they carried themselves, even through the ups and downs, and a lot of these guys had to become leaders pretty early on in their careers, right? When you're going through all these goaltenders and Matt Sogaard and Kevin Mandalese, right? They're becoming leaders. They're showing the ropes to all these PTO goalies that are coming through, and I think that's a positive impact as well, and I think that's going to bode confidence for everybody in that locker room.
Yeah, it certainly will. Again, thanks to both Pierre Dorion and Ryan Bowness for their time during a busy weekend. They've got to get set preparing for next season. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, our final segment of Get to Know Your FO with Byron DeRose from our operations department. After that, Joel and I will be back for one more little wrap-up segment, and then we'll leave you with 20-plus interviews with your favorite Belleville Sens players from Locker Cleanout Day as we finish up this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. So stick around, right back in just a moment here on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network. Episode 14 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues. Again, thanks to Pierre Dorion and Ryan Bowness for their time on the weekend. Hope you enjoyed those interviews with them. Stay tuned later on. We've got about an hour's worth of exit interviews for you to listen to and enjoy as we caught up with every single player on the roster that was here, at least, to clear out their lockers on Monday afternoon. David Foote, Joel Vanderland here. Also time for our final installment of Get to Know Your FO. We've come finally, to the end of the staff. And Byron DeRose is our guest this week from the operations department here with the Belleville Senators. What's up, B-Dog? What's going on?
Hey, guys. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's just kind of worked out this way. You get to be on the finale episode, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's exciting. I've heard you guys talk throughout the year, and to be included and to have my piece at the end here is kind of exciting, and appreciate it.
The last word.
The last word, the last laugh.
Yeah. Tell us about yourself. And this is your end of your second season now. You're one of the, I guess, more veteran people in the office that we haven't spoken to yet, who's actually been here for 2 full seasons. Tell us about getting here first, and then we'll talk a bit about what the last couple of years have been like.
Yeah, it's crazy to say that that I'm a veteran of 2 years, and to be a veteran in the office a little bit with 2 full seasons is kind of a crazy concept, right? We're a young front office for the most part. We're a green front office in terms of the experience in pro hockey, and I mean it's a interesting learning and growing process as we kind of do that together. But I think having that freshness also brings a really unique perspective that not everybody has, and is not everybody's lucky enough to have in their front office. So I think the crew here brings a really fresh take and fresh look on things, which is really nice, and it's refreshing and definitely I think a positive in a lot of ways. And not every front office is lucky enough to have that, and the way we do things here is working well and continuing to grow and learn together and improving all the time. And I think that's a really unique situation to be in, and it's exciting.
Yeah, and it's a small group too, as we've talked about throughout the whole season, and it kind of leads to different people doing different things, and yourself especially, you kind of have your hands on a handful of different I guess areas of the operation and how things get done and handled, especially on game nights, and that's kind of evolved a little bit for you as well over your first 2 years here.
Yeah, no, it's a constantly changing thing a little bit in the role that I have, being less of a revenue generation role by quite a bit, and more of a boots on the ground, so to speak, role, and having my hands in a little bit of everything: operations, in finance, in administration, in team services, and all those different things is kind of a unique role in and of itself. It's a different one from a lot of the other ones that go on here, and I've really enjoyed my time here so far, and learning and wearing all those different hats is I think something I'm lucky to be able to do. And some days it's definitely stressful, but there are days that I look back and I wouldn't rather be doing anything else here. I think I've got a skill set that lends itself to wearing those hats and to being in many different places at the same time and having a lot of different things on the go, and keeping it all together, like I said, can be challenging at times, but it's a challenge I think I'm up to.
Yeah, you've been on this journey for quite some time. You graduated from Brock, their sports management program. You interned with the Niagara River Hawks. I think you interned with the 2022 Canada Games also. Can you kind of talk us through those experiences and how that's kind of led to your role now?
Yeah. Sorry, let's get back to the first question Footy had, which was how I got here.
This is a non-linear segment, so it's okay.
Yeah. So I started at Brock back in 2017 in the sport management program. Graduated there in 2021. While I was at school there, I interned with the Riverhawks, like you said, the junior C hockey team there in Niagara, and had a really great time there and learned a lot, and kind of grew from a game day ops intern in my first year into manager of the game day ops internship program, and kind of recruiting other interns and things like that in my second season, which was a really cool experience. And I think it definitely was a great one to have on the resume and to develop my skill set and help me end up here where I did eventually. And then again into the years after that, interning a little bit with or volunteering a little bit with the Niagara 2022 Summer Games, the Canada Games there. That was a really cool experience too, and being able to run a team and kind of again develop another set of skills that would eventually help me land the job here. But yeah, Brock was a huge part of that, and how I landed those internships and kind of coming up there. It taught me a lot. Obviously, being the sport management program is very tailored to jobs like this, and with three of us in the front office now from the same program, it's definitely something's clicking there, and I think we're doing the right things. But yeah, it's a lot about that diverse set of skills that you learn from that program. There's marketing, there's sales, there's operations, there's event management, there's even just basic business etiquette is an early part of that program, and all of those things come together throughout your 4 years, and you slowly kind of tailor towards the end of the program and into the more specific directions you want to end up in. Operations was always more of a direction I wanted to head in, working in the team services with the players and the staff and the coaches, and all that is kind of the direction I've wanted to head in from kind of the beginning. So it's definitely more my skill set, and you see the other guys in the office who come from that program ending up in partnerships and sales and marketing and things like that, and all of us kind of come out of that program with our own direction in mind, and we don't always end up there, but I think the guys have fallen into the right roles for them, and it's worked out pretty well here.
Yeah. A bit of a Badger infestation here,
yes,
with all the Brock Badger graduates that we have.
Yeah,
in the office.
It's kind of crazy to have this many of us here, but it's nice, and it's nice to kind of reunite on the way out of the program and see that, you know, the program's doing good work, and the guys that have put in the work and the are ending up in the right spots, and it's nice to see all of our hard work kind of pay off in that respect, and it's nice to see other people as well outside of this organization succeed from that program. But a very cool little grouping, a little cluster here that we've managed to find our way into the same front office, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, I guess for yourself too, I think your role has kind of evolved over these 2 seasons. Can you kind of talk us through what you're doing now on a typical game day?
Yeah, so game days kind of became a little hectic for me this year as I took on a little more than I think I was expecting at the start of the season. The game days were mostly kind of like I said earlier, boots on the ground operations, and kind of making sure that the setup and the event prep was going well, and then building off that a little bit of the team services stuff, making sure that the guys are getting to signings, things like that, managing some player interaction. Those were the things that kind of were my day-to-day game days. And then partway through the season, jumping into the security and usher role there, kind of running those teams. So kind of adding coordinator security to my coordinator title already, which was kind of crazy, but that was a really interesting experience, and I think it was a challenge at first, and kind of learning the ropes there, learning how to manage that large a team on a game night, which was something brand new to me. I'd never, maybe really managed more than a few people at a time with the Canada Summer Games and the Riverhawks, so it was my first time kind of managing my own little staff in a way, with 22-ish ushers plus probably about 14 security guards and a couple of supervisors each for those 2 groups. So it was definitely a new and exciting experience, and it brought its own host of challenges dealing with some things I hadn't dealt with before. But it became a little bit more hectic. I think I like to joke around about my steps per game, and it usually kicks around 22,000 on a game day. So I think my final, I was going to say the final home game of the year, I think I had 24,700 steps on my watch there. So I'm always moving. I'm always going around and doing my laps and making sure that everything's running smoothly. And even when it's not, I'm going from A to B to make sure that those things get done. And yeah, it was a really big change partway through the year to have that added, but I think it went well, and my role continues to evolve. As I've said, I wear a lot of different hats and kind of have my hands on a lot of different things. So I think there's more of a kind of a drift towards the team services stuff as things move along here, but I really have enjoyed wearing a lot of hats, and I will continue to do so, I believe, in a lot of ways. So it's a unique experience again, and I keep coming back to that, but I think that's what this industry is, right? It's a unique experience for everyone that's in it, and not everybody gets to work in this kind of an industry where you can be so passionate about your work, because it's, we're here for the love of the game, right? And the love of sport in general, and to be able to do all these different things in the envelope of sport is a really is something I'm really thankful for, and again is a unique thing that not everyone can do, and I've absolutely loved all of the challenges that it's brought and all the things that I'm learning from those challenges.
Chatting with Byron DeRose from the operations department here on Get to Know Your FO for a couple more minutes. Amongst all the things that you do and that you've been able to do over the last couple of seasons, what's been the highlight for you?
That's a good one. I think there have been so many, and I mean, like I said, it's ups and downs like any job, and there's always going to be big highs and big lows, and I think some of the big highs definitely come from seeing the the difference that we make kind of on a day-to-day basis here. I think our community outreach, our community engagement is really exciting. And to see that outside and inside the arena is a really, it brings a lot of joy. And I think one of the things I love most is seeing how much joy the people who come to these games experience. And from anything from making sure that, the kids who are around are having an absolute time of their lives to all the way up to the grandparents who are just here to enjoy hockey for the love of hockey. I mean, it's just nice to see people having a good time. And I mean, that's kind of how I started to love this game. And I think I spoke to that in my job interview when I first got this job. Was I have been around hockey for a very long time. I played it a little bit growing up and played some decent level hockey and traveled a lot for it, and went to a couple of pro games here and there. And I think the experiences that I had and the things that other people inspired in me, whether it was players or staff or whoever I kind of came across, they did so many incredible things and nice things, and just going to those games changed so much about my outlook and my happiness as a kid, and it was just an amazing time. And I think I want to be able to bring that to this job and bring that to the people that are coming to watch these games. And I think that's a big highlight for me, is seeing the hard work of this front office pay off, and it's shown through the excitement in the community, the happiness in the community, and that's a big thing for me.
Getting to get on the ice with the team a few times as well has got to be a highlight, right? Getting up, Byron's a goaltender for those who may not be familiar, and got a number of opportunities to practice with the team. That's got to be cool to get up close and personal with the guys and really get an appreciation, I'd imagine, for the skill that these guys possess.
Yeah, no, I was going to say not to neglect the fact that I've skated a little bit with the team, which is very exciting. I loved it, and I continue to love it. It's been great over the last couple of years to get, I would say, a number of practices in both seasons, and I feel very privileged to be invited on to practice with the guys sometimes, and it's exciting. Yeah, there's definitely an appreciation for the power and the skill that those guys have, and I've never ever skated with any kind of comparable skill level to this, and managed to hold my own from time to time. I won't say I'm out there excelling like the guys that are doing it daily, but it's nice, and it's definitely been a real treat to be out there, and the guys have been fantastic. The coaching staff fantastic. Everybody's treated me with the utmost respect, which is really, really refreshing, and the opportunity to be out there and get some ice time is always a huge thing for me. I really miss playing a lot, so to be able to play with guys that caliber a little bit and have the opportunity is just mind-blowing sometimes. And I know those guys like the Matty Mitchell and Mikey Boys, especially the equipment guys, have made me feel right at home down there. And I know the one practice, those guys printed up a little name bar for me, so that was super exciting. And I know I had to send that one to my mom, and made her absolute week as she saw that and couldn't believe her eyes that I had a little pro name bar in the practice the one day and on my my little locker. So that was kind of fun. And the guys and all the guys down there, the players and coaches and everybody, have been fantastic when I have been down there. So it's all around a great experience and a great group to be able to step on the ice with, and a ton of fun, an absolute ton of fun.
Yeah, a lot of highlights. Obviously, as you mentioned, some challenges as well that we all kind of deal with through the season. But here we are. We're done for another year. What's the off season look like in your position?
Yeah, so the off season becomes a bit different for me. So my game day and my game prep and throughout the year, kind of managing some of the stuff with the players, a little bit of travel, a little bit of housing, things like that with the team services role. I definitely have a bit of a step back in the off season in terms of how crazy things are all the time. My step counter is not up as high as it usually is. But there's always lots of behind-the-scenes prep to do. I know for the next few weeks it'll be some reconciliation in terms of financing and invoicing receipts, all sorts of stuff like that kind of happens in the background as we wind down here into the summer. And then kind of pressing on into the midsummer to late summer, we've got a lot of renovations and things to do. There's always some stuff to do, change or upgrade downstairs, and I know I'm going to be working closely with the coaching staff to make sure that they have the room set up the way they want, and do some renovations for I believe the training and what's the word I'm looking for, physio area, things like that. So there's always little bits of stuff to do like that, and any kind of contracting work and stuff like that happens on the team side of things. I'll be making sure to manage that closely, and same to work with the staff in the arena here, make sure that things are upgraded, repaired, and kind of revamped for the upcoming year, making sure we get that done well in advance of hopefully August, September, so that when we get there's no last minute things we've got to be doing, and not worrying too much about it as we get into the nitty gritty of getting into next season and doing all that hard work and hard prep that comes up to the season opener and things like that. But yeah, no, it's going to be an exciting wrap up, and hopefully a well-deserved break for everybody in the front office, and looking forward to a good summer and exciting community events, things like that, and getting into the next year prep.
Yeah, lots to do still, even though the season's over, and Byron DeRose does a whole lot of the stuff around here that we either don't have time to do because we're stuck doing our other jobs, or the stuff that needs to get done. Byron's there to help us get it done. So appreciate all your hard work, man.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We will take one more break. When we come back, we will tee you up for an hour's worth of exit interviews. I know you're excited about it. I know you are. Don't act like you're not. Joel's excited.
I'm excited. I'm always excited.
Joel sat through them already, and he's still excited.
Oh, yeah. They're fantastic, and a really good way to head off into the off season and make sure that everyone is still getting their media availabilities done, even on the last day.
All right. That's coming up on episode 14 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Stay with us. Final talk segment of this 14th episode of the Belleville Sens podcast, our season finale, if you will. As we mentioned earlier on, Joel and I will still be back likely every couple of weeks to update you on how the Calder Cup playoffs are going, who's advanced, who's been eliminated, and who maybe some of the top performers are, because we want to keep everybody engaged with the AHL throughout the course of the offseason, try to make that adjustment to hockey again in October a little bit easier when we roll back around for the start of the season. Once we're done this little chat, again, we're going to end the show like we normally would, but once the music fades out at the end of the program, it'll get into, in numerical order, all of our exit interviews with the Belleville Senators players from locker cleanout day, which means we'll start with Leevi Merilainen and we'll finish with Dylan Ferguson.
Yep.
Number 1, number 50. We'll bookend it with goaltenders.
There you go, yeah.
So that's all coming up as we finish up this 14th episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. Thanks to Byron DeRose for his time. Busy guy, always doing a lot around the office, and we appreciate him taking some time for us. And again, thanks to Pierre, Dorion, and Ryan Bowness for their time earlier on in the weekend as well. Some really great insight to finish off the campaign. I think we've touched on most of the things that we wanted to or needed to over the course of this season in review episode. But what's been the highlight for you over the course of the season? It doesn't necessarily have to be a game or a statistic or a player performance. It could be anything that has stuck out to you throughout the course of the season.
I think it's being around and just seeing everything from training camp to game 72, and I think it's a highlight to know that we were able to get everything accomplished that we needed to as a communications staff. And I think for me the biggest highlights are always being able to kind of be a liaison between the players and the fans and telling those stories. And we had a heck of a lot of stories to tell this season. Mm-hmm. We've kind of talked them through each podcast, but either guys making their NHL debuts or guys making their AHL debuts, career years, just everything from starting out in rookie camp and the Prospects Challenge, and from when Max Guenette was donning the C to...
Yeah, because we were there in Buffalo for that.
Yeah, to him playing in his first NHL games. And
in Buffalo.
And
yeah.
we kind of chatted with him about that too, like coming for full circle almost for him this season. So I think it's the highlight has been kind of the ability to being there, being present for all those moments, and I think that's been a big thing for me. I know it's a grind. I know you were there too. You were traveling through it all, but I think the highlight for me has been able to tell those stories and be connected with the fans and the players.
Yeah, it for me, I think just getting through 72 games was a highlight. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, and we got to go to a bunch of different places. First time out to Milwaukee and Rockford for myself, and Garrett Harvey was on that trip early on in the season as well. I think Cole Cassels' year really stands out for me in terms of one of the stories of the season, coming over from Europe, joining this team when they really needed some help. And not only did he provide support, but he became one of the top players on the team and will likely set himself up for a contract either with the Sens or elsewhere rather easily next season. I think he won't have to go back to Europe based on the season that he had here, you wouldn't think. It's been there's too many, and again, we'll touch on most of them with those players as we get through the exit interviews. Dylan Ferguson joining the team after being cast aside by the Toronto Marlies, putting up some outstanding performances, immediately getting a call to the NHL where he was outstanding and earned his first NHL win and was the talk of the hockey world for a couple of weeks. So many big stories have started in this little town and in this little franchise, this little organization here in Eastern Ontario, and it led to, again, despite the fact that we didn't get into the playoffs, it led to a really entertaining year.
Yeah, it did, and I think that's kind of what we've been able to do and been able to tell, and I think even though it doesn't end in the Calder Cup playoffs like you mentioned, it's still a positive and productive year for this franchise, and I think the school visits is something too that we haven't talked about.
Yeah,
but,
all the community stuff this year's.
That's a big highlight too, and just seeing the ability to make those kids' days, those teachers' days, and I think as we progress through the summer, we're going to be able to do even more summer events. So.
I'm glad you mentioned the teachers, because there were a few school visits where the kids were excited, but the teachers might have been more excited.
Yeah, and that's good too, right? So, and that's where it starts is the fans and them being able to connect it to the community. And I think Dillon Heatherington, I know Alex Smith is working on his year in review little post today, and I sent him over a quote, and the captain was just thrilled with the connections he's been able to make with the community this season as well.
Speaking of the community events, the Belleville Sens street team is going to be back for another summer. Braden DeVries, who interned with us from Bayside Secondary School for most of the season, is going to come on and help to run that promo team basically, and they'll be out at events and golf tournaments and things like that all season long. And maybe we'll get a bonus get to know your FO in with Braden when he gets started to tee up some of those summer events, because like we did last year, things will slow down and they'll quiet down, but they don't stop for sure completely. We still get out into the community and push the brand, and Belly will be out and about. Pat Williams from the AHL.com famously calls Belly the busiest mascot in the AHL in the off season. So we'll be continuing on with all of that. And again, of course, BellevilleSens.com will be the spot to find all that info. Again, rate the podcast, review the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you don't miss an episode, because we will be doing some sporadic interviews and episodes throughout the course of the offseason, again, as news breaks, as the playoffs continue, that sort of thing as well. Any final thoughts before we sign off on the podcast, Joel?
No, I think just that my final thought would be how awesome this podcast has been, getting it up and running and making sure that all the front office staff are able to introduce themselves to the fans. So I'm excited to see year 2 of the podcast continue to grow, and happy to be a part of it.
And I said a bunch of thank yous at the end of the hockey game on Sunday, but once again, I have to thank you again, Joel, for all of your hard work this season. Alex Smith, the other member of our game day team, if you will, everybody in the Belleville Sens front office for all of their work getting us through the season. And I'm going to thank my wife, Jenna, as well, for doing her part to keep me on track and for spending all those nights alone. It's really tough, on all of our families and all of our friends. We don't get to see them for about 6 months of the season. So she's been a rock for me, and really looking forward myself to a little bit of summertime and relaxation as well. As are all of the players on the Belleville Sens. A well-deserved break ahead for them. Again, when the music fades out, the next thing you'll hear is back-to-back interviews of players leaving for the season during locker clear-out. We're going to put the time codes up on BellevilleSens.com, and if you're watching on the YouTube page, it'll be there as well, so you can zip through to the players that you specifically want to hear from. But that's what we will leave you with as we finish off the 22-23 season on the Belleville Sens podcast. Thanks again for listening, and we'll be back probably in a couple weeks with a bonus episode, so subscribe again and stay tuned. Enjoy the summer, everyone. Next up in our exit interview series is goaltender Leevi Merilainen. Played just a few games for the Belleville Sens near the end of the season after coming over from Finland. Thanks for taking a couple minutes, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How did you find your start here in pro in North America? How did it maybe live up to your expectations? We'll talk about the NHL debut in a minute as well.
Yeah, I didn't really have any expectations for coming in here. Just wanted to get a few games in and do as well as I could, and I think I did a pretty good job with that, and it was a fun experience for me.
You make 41 saves in your AHL debut and a shutout. That night you're called up to Ottawa, and you end up playing a couple games for the NHL Sens as well. What was that experience like, coming off the ice, finding out you were going up, and then getting into to action in the NHL as well?
Yeah, I felt kind of surreal at the moment. Like didn't really hit me pretty much until I got to the hotel at Toronto for the night that I'm actually going up, and felt unreal.
You were able to put up good numbers in Kingston. You were able to put up a stellar season in your rookie league with Karpat. How did you kind of adjust to the American Hockey League after those two stints?
Well, the Kingston season really helped me with that, because it's kind of similar type of game. How they play is fast, and the rink is a little smaller. That helped a lot. And then, of course, playing with men back in Finland, that helped me a lot too. So that was a good move for me to go to Kingston and then go back home and play with men before coming here.
How much did it help to have Lassi Thomson here, Roby Jarventie here? I know you played with Roby at the World Juniors and kind of throughout your career with the Finnish national team as well.
Yeah, it was kind of fun, because Kingston didn't have any Finns, of course. That was I think that was good for me back then, because I had to speak English, get better at it. But now it's kind of fun to have a few Finns to talk some Finnish if I want to.
What does your summer look like? I assume you'll head back home again, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be just pretty chill. I take a few weeks off maybe and start practicing hard after that. Nothing unusual about that.
Is your plan to come back here to start next season?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Any vacation plans? Anything exciting coming up for the summertime, or not yet?
Not really. I'm just going to go to Toronto for a few days with my girlfriend, but that's about it.
That'll be a good time for sure. And then right back at it, I imagine, and getting ready for next season.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Leevi. Great to see you play. Looking forward to seeing you back in October.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're with the captain. Dillon Heatherington is up next on locker clean-out day. Thanks for taking some time. A busy day, I know, for you guys, but appreciate it, as always.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
First season as captain of this team, and you're back again next year, which is fantastic. How did you feel the season went overall? I know you had some NHL time as well, but how do you think things went down here?
I thought things went really well. And I'm extremely proud of the group that came to be. It was a season that's had a lot of adversity and a lot of challenges. You know, it had its highs and lows, but you know, the group itself and the core of the team stuck together and you know, played some really good hockey this year. It's obviously disappointing being so close to making the playoffs and you know, falling short, but you know, I'm proud of everybody's efforts, that's for sure.
You're a veteran guy. You've been around this league for a while. How unique or strange was this season in the grand scheme of things when you look at all the roster moves and the goaltenders and the injuries? It just seemed like such a crazy year.
You know, it was. I mean, each year kind of holds its own challenges, but you know, this year with the roster moves and kind of all the moves that took place, you know, for us to be, you know, right there in the mix, and you know, a couple games go the other way, and it's a different. You know, we're doing this later in the spring, so you know, hopefully a lot of guys come back next year and you know, make a better push.
And as leader of this group and with your leadership team as well, what were kind of the keys to keeping guys on track and to dealing with everything that you guys had to deal with this year?
I would say just keeping guys level-headed. Like I said, we had a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and guys were going up and down, and you know, PTOs were coming up, and they you know, I'm proud of those guys. They came in and played their hearts out for us. We had goalies come in from the East Coast and stood on their head for us, and then they get a shot in the NHL. I mean, it was a lot of cool stories individually on this team for sure.
You mentioned keeping everyone together, keeping everyone on track. You were named the Coach's Choice Award. What does that mean to you as you get recognized by the coaching staff?
Oh, it's a great honor. I mean, our coaching staff is incredible this year, especially, you know, with the change halfway through the season. They kind of got, you know, thrown in the fire a little bit, and for them to come in, bring everybody together. You know, we had guys from, you know, like I said, the East Coast, SHL, the kind of everywhere come in and to form a bond and a good team. It was pretty impressive from them.
Your second full year here, you were able to get more into the community this season, school visits. What does that mean to you to be able to do that kind of stuff?
Oh, it's great. I mean, Belleville is such a good hockey town with a lot of good fans, and they really appreciate you know, having a team here, and we appreciate being here. So for us to go out and see the smiles on the kids' faces and being around the community, it's really good for us as individuals and you know, for the community itself.
What does your off-season look like? Obviously, again, you're signed for next year, so you don't have to worry about the contract talks like some of the other guys do. How are you going to spend your summer?
I'm going to go back home to Calgary and, you know, kind of unwind and relax. Have a couple trips planned, but it's going to be mostly, you know, relaxing and, you know, taking a month off for a little bit, and then, you know, get back training again and getting prepared for next year.
Heading anywhere exciting?
Nowhere too exciting by any means, but I'm just looking forward to getting back home and seeing the family.
And if there's one highlight, I guess, for you this season, what would it be?
The one highlights, that's a tough question. I mean, I would say the highlight for myself was just being around the guys kind of each and every day, and you know, there's a lot of good friendships built that way, and going out and spending time at the rink and away from the rink with the guys, it was pretty special.
Including at Black Bear Ridge, who you're repping on your head, and I know you guys will get around in there at least before you go. Enjoy that, enjoy the summer, and thanks for everything, Heater, this year. We appreciate it, man.
Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, back to the blue line we go on our exit interview series. Jacob Larsson is with us, finished up his first season as a member of the Belleville Senators. How was this season for you?
It's been a lot this season. I mean, it's been a lot going wrong with the team, and we've got a lot of injuries, but it's been a good season. I think a lot of players here have grown a lot, and it's a good group of guys here, and yeah, I really enjoyed it here. It's a great atmosphere here, and yeah.
you were able to set some career best goals and points this season. Did you see your offensive game kind of grow this year?
Yeah, a little bit. I got some chances in the power play, which was nice. I haven't really done much of that before, and yeah, the coach has been good to me and all of that. And I mean, we've had a good team too, I feel like. So we've been scoring a lot of goals, which is nice. So yeah, no, it's good. Obviously, like, you want to have a few more maybe, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that.
You were still able to get into 7 NHL games this season. What was the experience like with the Ottawa Senators?
Oh, it was great. I mean, their team is too, like, very young, and like they're doing real well. Like, I think they had a good year for them as well. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs, but a lot of guys there took big strides too. And I mean, the team up there in a couple of years will be a real cup contender. So no, it was awesome to play games there, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a good fan base up there too. So yeah, no, it was awesome.
You're still a relatively young defenseman. You're only 25, but you've played in 172 NHL games.
Yeah.
What do you kind of learn about yourself throughout the course of your season, and then going into the off season? What do you want to work on to make sure that you're continuing to be at the top of your game?
I mean, for last, I don't know, since I've been 6-7 years, I mean, I gotta get stronger, right? So gotta build some more muscles and all of that. And I mean, you learn a lot over the course of a year, like how to take care of your body and all of this, and like how do you be ready for every game and all of that. And I think I'm taking strides with that, and even outside of, like, first year living in Canada, now I know how that is, and like how everything's working and all of that. And it's so different too, like from organizations, how things are, how we're doing things outside, and like, yeah, here in the locker room and all of that. So yeah, no, it's been a good year for me, that aspect. And yeah, go home now and reload, start training again, hopefully put up some more muscles, and yeah, get stronger faster, right? That's what everybody wants. Yeah. So yeah,
never stops. How did you find like living in Belleville in the Bay of Quinte region here as your home for the season?
I liked it real much. So me and my fiance, we lived out in the county, in Ameliasburg, and we loved it out there. It's nice. We had a little house there. It was more like what do you call it, cabin? Yep. Yeah, so it was awesome. We liked it there. We had a couple more guys living out there. Awesome. It's so beautiful here, man, with the island, the water, and everything. And yeah, we really like it. It's good restaurants around here too. Yeah, so I mean, we really enjoyed it here.
What's the rest of your summer look like? I know you've got to nail down a contract and things like that, but what else do you have planned for the summer?
I'm getting married.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, so
nice.
Big summer for me.
Back home, you'll do your wedding back home?
Yeah, back home in Stockholm. Yeah, I still haven't bought a suit, so I got to go and do that before that's too late.
What are Swedish weddings like? Are there any crazy traditions that you guys do that, or is it all pretty normal?
It's all pretty normal, I'll say. Honestly, I've only been to one wedding in my life,
Serious?
So I'm kind of rookie on this.
All right.
But no, I mean, it's pretty standard, I think. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be 90 people, I think, so it'll be a lot of fun, a lot of friends and family there to celebrate us. So yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. All the best with the wedding in the summer, and maybe we'll be chatting with you again in October.
Yeah, hopefully. I'll be love to be back here. Thank you.
With defenseman Dillon Blujus on locker cleanout day, you were here for a short time, but a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
If we look at the whole season, I guess going back to the start in Utica, getting traded, how was this season for you in comparison to some of your others?
It was a season of first for me. 9 years, got traded, and I had a kid, so it was a big. I mean, a lot of that came obviously at the tail end of the season, coming here at Belleville, but. It was a weird year, but I had fun. I definitely, coming over here, first time getting traded, I didn't know what to expect. And coming in this locker room, the guys were great, the coaches were great, all the staff. So I don't know. I was here for, I could only remember, a month maybe, but
Yeah.
I felt like leaving here. I felt like I was with these guys all year. So definitely a good bunch to get traded to, and I had fun with it.
Yeah, your son's born like right around the time you were traded as well.
Yeah.
How difficult was that to kind of navigate? And like you say, how much easier did the organization make it on you to make that transition and to try to work yourself in through all that?
Yeah, no, that was definitely a getting the phone call saying you're traded definitely was like, oh God. But then being close to home, I was 2.5 hours from Utica, and from here to home it's 3.5. So I wasn't really worried about any of that. So, but like you said, like the organization did a great job. Obviously, I spent some more nights in the hospital than I wanted to, but I was gone for a little bit, and they were great about it. So kudos to them for that. And yeah, it was just a crazy time, and having a kid, and then the next thing you know, stepping on the ice, it's weird, but it was fun.
You played against the Belleville Bulls during your time in the OHL. What did you kind of think of coming back here and seeing the facilities and the renovations that they made to the rink?
Yeah, no, I remember coming in here for the first time. I don't know when the first year was after the renovations and everything, but obviously without the no more Olympic ice, benches on the same sides and not crisscross. So everything was great, and obviously being in the when I came here with Brampton, and yeah, it would have been Brampton. You didn't have the best of weight dressing rooms, but then coming here pro after the renovations, that was definitely a step up. And then seeing this locker room for the first time in facility, it's an A+ facility over here. So they definitely did a great job with this.
How cool is it to see the Bulls night as well? I know you played in the OHL; it's still a big part of your hockey history. But to see that team honored,
no, that was very cool. I think it was really cool for this city and everything like that. So I think the staff, whatever, the community and the rink and everything, you guys did a great job with having that Bulls night. I didn't play in that game. I think some of the Brampton and North Bay fans probably happy about that. It was a little weird wearing a Bulls jersey after wearing a Battalion jersey for 4 years. So I had a couple laughs about that, but no, I think it was a great night for the city.
What does your summer look like? Obviously, spending some time with the family and the little guy.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna become a pro at changing diapers, and I don't know. I think now having a newborn, I think he just take it day by day, and hopefully get some free time to go golfing. But we'll see what the wife has to say about that. But I don't know. I'm just excited to go home, be with my family, and just enjoy summer.
Yeah, well, like everybody else, well-deserved time off. And again, not here for a long time, but we enjoyed having you and appreciate you taking the time for us here today and always while you were here.
Yep, thank you guys. It was great being here.
Next up is forward Jake Lucchini as we roll through these exit interviews on clean-out day here at CAA Arena. Luch back again for another season with the Sens and another pretty productive year for yourself. How would you characterize the season overall?
Yeah, it was obviously good and bad. I thought, for our team, not making the playoffs was obviously something that we strive towards and obviously came up short. But, I think for us, we're hit with the injury bug, not trying to make excuses, but, a lot of fluctuation throughout the lineup. And, guys did a really good job of coming in and playing minutes maybe that they're not used to, or, call-ups coming in and, guys taking a bigger role. But I think for the development side, I think it was, good for a lot of guys to come in and play a little bit more and get the opportunity that they were looking for. But, I think you can take a lot out of this year, and I think, moving forward, the team's in a good spot.
You talk about development, and you made the jump and got to play your NHL debut this season, among other games. What was that experience like for you, and how maybe rewarding was it to finally get that look in the NHL?
Yeah, it was a dream come true, I guess. Being 27, for me, getting up there, and I mean, I hope I get back up there, obviously, but being this old, you kind of realize that maybe that's kind of the only shot. So you just kind of take advantage of it and kind of be thankful for how it went and everything. And I thought it went well, and I could obviously see myself getting back there, but I just tried to take it in as much as I could. It was obviously awesome, and just a dream come true.
Another career year for you offensively. Obviously, you got to take a lot of pride in that, but also an alternate captain with this team. Can you kind of talk us through that and the development that you've been able to make in that regard as well?
Yeah, I think, for me, I'm kind of you guys know I'm a little bit louder and kind of talk a lot and things like that. So I think that, for me, I try to, being a little bit older, try to, be a leader, whether that's on the ice or in the dressing room, talking to guys or just the little things. I see myself as, being in that role. Obviously, Heater and being the captain and, Sabby, Cass, Sharts, they make it easier for me. I think we had such a good leadership group and, other guys too, guys that have been here for a while like Soko and Rhino and, those guys, they're the guys that are coming up and they'll probably take another, step in that direction next year. But, for me, it was just a good opportunity and, I'm happy with, the coaching staff having faith in me in that regard.
What is it about Belleville that's allowed you to take this leap in your career?
I think for me it was, I've kind of said it before, but that COVID year when I was in Laval was very tough for me. I think I had like 3 goals in 30 games. I was getting scratched and, it's just like a new opportunity. I played with Ben Sexton in Wilkes-Barre my first year and, being familiar with him really gave me confidence. He had confidence in me to, kind of put his hand out there and say, we can get this guy kind of thing. And that gave me confidence and, working with him and Belzy and even Manor when he was here, they gave me the opportunity to succeed and, had confidence in me, which, made me have confidence in myself. And I think that, that helped me get to the next step of my career.
Off season, you'll go back to Trail BC, I assume. What does that look like for you?
I'll go back to Trail for a couple weeks, probably in July. I spend most of my summers in Wisconsin. My girlfriend and I have a place there, so spend most of my summer there. Go back to Trail for a couple weeks, month. Not really 100% sure yet. We have like 6 weddings this summer, so it's going to be crazy. But no, it should be an exciting summer. Obviously, I'll take couple weeks off. I won't skate till, I don't know, end of June, maybe July, and then just, work out, get stronger, and look forward to next year.
It's a contract year, obviously, for you, and you got to find somewhere to play next season. Do you hope to perhaps be back here?
Yeah, I love it here. I've said that before. It's a place where I feel like I fit in well, and it's going to be an exciting summer for me, and we'll see, what happens, come July, and where the chips fall.
Yeah, well, and we love having you here and appreciate everything you did this year, helping us get the Sens at School program rolling and all the community visits. I know it's a lot of extra work for you guys as well. But
we had quite the year, you and I.
Yeah, we were connected, to say the least. Well, it was a fantastic year, man, and just wishing you all the best through the summertime, and hopefully we do see you back here in October.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate everything.
It's Phil Daoust, who played 8 games and a few minutes. It's been a tough year for you, to say the least. Thanks for taking some time, Philly.
Yeah, of course. No, thanks for having me. And it's been a tough year, but happy I can do these little things and just be a part of the team.
What was the season like for you? I guess having to basically spend 6 to 7 months just rehabbing and trying to get healthy again.
Yeah, I mean, at first when me and the staff decided that I was going to be done for the year, it was hard for me to hear. Obviously, I think it's like that for every hockey player, and just had to change the mindset into just getting stronger, getting better, and recovering as fast as possible. But coming in after my post-surgery, I had a few weeks at home recovering and just being around family. Came back here and just had to work my butt off and get the shoulder get a lot better, so I'm able to get on the ice quicker and do the stuff I love, and that's just to play hockey, right? So, it was a year of me being in the gym a lot and being around Mitch a lot. So I think if I could take anything from this is that I got a lot closer with Mitch. Had a few bumps in the road, arguments there here and there, but I think that's normal. That's how hockey works, and just excited to be 100% next year and obviously hopefully help the team.
Well, you talked about the injury, the rehab. There's some positives to this season for yourself as well. You scored your first American Hockey League goal. I think you had 7 points in 9 games. What did you kind of take from those first 9 games that you were able to play in as you got acclimated with the American Hockey League?
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting that first goal, it's obviously it's a really good feeling, just getting that monkey off your back and not having to worry about that. But it's obviously a different breed, the American Hockey League compared to junior, right? Playing against 16, 17-year-olds and in junior hockey to now playing against grown men, stronger players and faster players. I mean, it's definitely a big change, but I'm also I got used to starting to play with really good hockey players, really good teammates, and it was just a lot of fun. Really good group of guys and group of staff here that just helps you develop every day and come in with a positive attitude at the rink. But I think that's the biggest change for me was just getting used to the speed and the strength of players.
You get to spend a whole season here in Belleville and the Quinte region. What was it like to kind of make this home, despite the fact that you weren't able to play all that much this season?
Yeah, I live just in Barrie and it's pretty close to Belleville, but honestly I've never really been in Belleville and seen around Belleville. But from spending the entire year this year, I love it here. It's the people are great, everyone's so nice, and just the fans over here watching games from the stands. It's just such a good environment, and there's just so many little things to do, so many good spots to eat. And I see all the guys saying all these restaurants in your little segments where they love to eat. I could probably say a lot of the same things as them, but it's just a great town, just a great people, and I'm definitely going to be coming here for the rest of my life. That's for sure.
What does your off season look like, Phil? Now that your shoulders rehabbing properly,
yeah.
What does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play all the games like the other guys did, so I won't be taking really any time off. I'll be getting right into it. I just started skating and shooting again. It's been a few weeks, so as soon as I get back home, I think I got a skate lined up for this Friday. So, I'm just excited to be back on the ice. But I'll be training fairly quickly. I think next week I'm starting to be back in the gym, and obviously I'm still doing that rehab with my physiotherapist down there. And because I'm so close to Belleville, I'll be coming down here every few weeks and training with Mitchie and hopefully skating with with the coaching staff with Belzy and Sexy. So. I'll just be back and forth. I guess I'm really lucky to be around Belleville and also close to Ottawa. So
yeah, for sure. Well, all the best through the off season, Phil. We're looking forward to seeing you out there again in October. Thanks for the time, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everything.
Cole Cassels is up next on Locker Cleanout Day here at CAA Arena. You had an incredible season, career year for you. You cracked that 50-point plateau and then some. How did you feel about your year overall?
Yeah, like you said, career year. Obviously, I can be happy individually with that, and obviously not making the playoffs is kind of a blow. But I can't be anything but proud of myself, and 50 points is a kind of a big deal. I feel like in this league, and I have to attribute that to my teammates and coaching staff for allowing me to produce.
Obviously, every year you want to put up career numbers. You want to have your best year. But this one started differently for you being overseas. Looking back on it, how pleased are you with the decision to come back to North America?
Yeah, I guess I took a gamble on myself there. I actually had to pay to get out of my contract in Sweden, so it was a pay-to-play league at the start for me.
Wow.
But sometimes you got to bet on yourself, and I took that gamble. And just being married in the summer and leaving my wife while I went to Sweden alone was a big factor in me coming back, and I'm glad I did that.
Yeah, when we look back at your season, is there any memories or moments that are going to kind of stick with you?
Definitely just how happy I was to be back. The first couple of days, how much I truly missed North America and the room over here and the style of play is something I'll miss, I guess, or something I was so happy to see again. And I guess, I could say there's a lot of memories this year, whether it was a good dinner with the guys, a couple laughs from guys especially like Johnny Quenneville, who makes everyone kind of giggle. But I guess personally it would be hitting 50 points. It's something I hope to do again, but if not, it was a huge accomplishment of mine, and I'm just very thankful.
Your third stint in Belleville, what is it about the friendly city that makes you want to come back?
Familiarity with the faces around here, the staff, the community. It's been very welcoming to me every time I've been here, and I've told people before, I grew up just in Marmora at the lake, Crow Lake, from when I was born until I was 15 years old. So I know this area, and it's close-knit hockey town, so it's good to be back, and we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, as part of the leadership group this season, this team went through so much, and we've been talking about it with all the guys here this afternoon, but from your perspective, what were kind of the keys in keeping things on track and just being able to keep your nose down and plow through all that?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with Belsy, giving us the leeway to have the room, and he knows when we can have it and when he needs to take over. And Heater's a great captain. He's got a voice. He's a presence. He's respected around the league, and especially in our dressing room. So, with Sabby, Sharch, myself, Luch, and even some of the other older guys that don't necessarily wear a letter, we just I think that the young kids respect us, and we're not a yell, get in your face kind of group. We're more so we'll talk you down. We'll tell you what you did wrong, maybe what you need to do, whether it's life or hockey. So I think we've built a good little friendship and bond between the older guys and the younger guys.
Certainly a group that's led by example, for sure. What's the summer look like for you?
Back home to Ohio with my wife, and probably golf, I would assume, quite a bit. And
I sense a theme. There's been a theme through the day.
Yeah, golf and maybe some concerts.
Anybody on your list you're hoping to see?
Zach Bryan, Kip Moore, two country guys.
Yeah.
Two of my favorites, so I'm pretty excited for those two. And obviously I'm at that age where it's littered with weddings, so that's a lot of travel and money there, but something you got to do, and looking forward to spending time with family and friends at those weddings.
Absolutely. Well, again, as we've said to just about everybody, well-deserved, and we really appreciate everything you've done with us this season since you came in, helping us get the school program running and all that stuff. It's been so important for us, so we really appreciate all that effort, Cass, and congrats again on 50 points. Incredible season for you, and it was a hell of a lot of fun for us to be able to follow along with that.
Thanks, boys. Enjoy the summer.
Next up in our exit interview series, it's the Belleville Sens 2022-23 Most Valuable Player and Man of the Year. Egor Sokolov is with us. You weren't here when we presented those awards, so let us be the first to say congratulations on that achievement.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it a lot.
Incredible season. You smashed a number of your friend Drake Batherson's records. I imagine that feels good. How could you, put this whole season into words now, looking back to October?
Yeah, obviously, not the result we wanted. Obviously, wanted to play hockey right now, but the adversity we had as a team, from get-go, we had 10, 11 guys on injured reserve, regular guys, not like deaf pieces. So that was pretty hard, and obviously the goaltending situation. We've used 12, 13 goalies this year. No disrespect to any of the goalies we had, playing for us, but, obviously you'd rather have, Leevi or Fergie or, Sogaard or Mende in it rather than a guy who plays, university. So, yeah, but looking back, I'm just proud of the group, and obviously, I'm happy with my season, how it went, and, happy that I got, rewarded for it at the end. So I got to play, the five games in the NHL. So, yeah, overall, I'm happy with it.
How much was that a benefit for you to get into those 5 games at the end of the season going into your summer here?
Yeah. I mean, going up there, you just know what to expect. And, just to see how it is up there, because, it's been a while for me, and kind of, going up there, it's a reminder, the life out there is different, and, you're flying everywhere, and, so you're getting hungrier and hungrier to get back up there.
You scored your first NHL goal as well. What a feeling and accomplishment that must have been for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I was happy to get it out of the way, obviously, and yeah, it was probably one of the best days of my life. I walked out and then I scored my first goal, and then I got the awards in Belleville as well the same day. So yeah, everybody was texting me about the awards. Somebody was texting me about the goal, so I was like confused. But then I saw the Instagram, and yeah, so probably one of the best days of my life.
What were the kind of the keys to your success this season?
Yeah, I think just the mindset. I mean, from last year to this year, I think I grew overall how to prepare myself mentally for the games and control the controllables and how to not go down or up, always stay consistent. So yeah, I think that was just a part of success this year.
You like David mentioned, you broke a lot of records. You scored a lot of goals. You were able to do a lot of good stuff on the ice, but you were also the man of the year. How much does that mean to you to kind of get ingrained in this community? I know you did the Clowns for Kids during the Santa Claus Parade, a lot of school visits. What does that award mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly MVP and the man of the year. It's basically the same thing, just the man of the year is off the ice, and I always been loving doing the stuff off the ice. So yeah, seeing the kids getting happy, see us at the rink for 40-45 minutes kind of makes my day. So I'm always about giving it back, always about talking to the kids, always about giving an autograph. So yeah, it means a lot to me that I got that award as well.
Will you be able to go back to Russia this summer? And also, what does your training regiment look like in Cape Breton when you're able to skate there?
I think I have to make up my mind about going back home yet, and I'm kind of up in the air right now with the re-signing a contract. So once I'm able to get it out of the way, hopefully I'll make the final decisions about everything. And yeah, for now I'm sticking around for a little bit. Yeah. Go get some sun in the next week, but yeah, just be around here. I think for extra week. Just I don't know, it's too early to kind of get away. I feel like because it's still April, so yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna have to make up my mind about my summer and everything.
You certainly put yourself in a good position for that negotiation and getting re-signed. So hopefully that happens quick, and hopefully we see you again either here or maybe not if you're in Ottawa next season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a stressful part of the year now. After you coming off your entry level. So we'll see what happens.
Well, a heck of a year, Soko. It's been a pleasure to watch you play, and thanks for this and for everything you've done all season long.
Oh, thank you, guys.
With Sens forward Rourke Chartier as we continue our exit interview series. Thanks for taking a couple minutes. You're on there. It's good to go.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great. How would you characterize your season back again here in Belleville? And I know you had a little bit of injury trouble as well, but how was the year overall for you?
Yeah, it was a lot of ups and downs for me. My, start of the year, I think went well. Got called up for the first time in a few years, so I was obviously pretty excited about that. And then got injured and came back down after that, and didn't last long before I got hurt again, and then was able to play here at the end. But yeah, there's not a bad year for myself, but again, kind of a wild year.
Yeah, we were talking to Dave Bell about your recent success because you finished the season really strong offensively, and he noted the fact that the injury bug tends to bite you and give you some trouble. Is that frustrating to have to keep dealing with year after year?
Yeah, I think it's super frustrating. It's kind of a pecking order hockey, and you're always trying to climb it. And my whole career, any time I feel like I've started to climb up, I've kind of been knocked back down. And it's been all sorts of different injuries. So it's not one thing or the other. It's out of my control, but it does start to wear on you for sure. And I've been through it enough at this point. I think I know I'm always going to bounce back, but it's really hard when it's such a game of momentum, and you kind of want to take it and run with it for a good long stretch. And I really just haven't been able to do that due to injuries, but. Going to keep coming back, so we'll see what happens.
Well, and you mentioned obviously getting back to the NHL for a little bit as well. How much did that kind of spur you on in coming back to Belleville and in getting through that injury, just to kind of, remind yourself that you're right there?
Yeah, I think that was big for me. Obviously, it had been a few years. I'd sat out a couple of years and then there'd been a couple seasons before I'd got called up again. So I was never sure if I was going to play, in the top league again. So that meant a lot to me to get back up there. And again, another opportunity where I was hoping I could have run with it a bit further, but yeah, broke my wrist in the 6th game, so away it goes. But no, that was good feeling. That's kind of why I've always played the game. I've always wanted to play in the NHL, and that's been the dream of mine. So it was nice to get another taste, but definitely not satisfied.
You were able to hit the 20-goal mark yesterday. What does that mean to you to be able to show that you can still be a marquee scorer in this league?
Yeah, obviously it's nice to have some personal success offensively. I don't think too much about those things, but yeah, it was good to hit, I guess, 20 in the last game there, and it's all credit to my teammates, line mates, getting me the puck in good spots, and yeah, it's always nice to have personal success too.
What does your summer maybe look like? Are you going to head back to Saskatoon and skate there?
Yeah, I think I'll head back to Saskatchewan. I don't have a real big plan. Obviously, I was hoping we'd be in it a bit longer, so I really haven't planned that far ahead. So gonna finish up here, reset, and then I imagine I'll be in Saskatoon, but haven't really decided yet.
Contract year, obviously. What's kind of the mindset as a veteran guy going into the summer, and just knowing that that's one more thing you've got to kind of deal with here moving forward?
Yeah, it's uncertainty, which isn't always great, but I don't know. I don't have a wife or family, so it maybe makes it a little easier on me. But at the same time, it'd be nice to know where you're going next season. But just kind of got to take it day by day. Like I said, gonna wrap things up here, spend some time with the guys, and then hopefully take a few trips somewhere, and then just get focused. And that's my agent's job, and see where the opportunity is for next year, and go with it.
Well, if it's here, fantastic. If it's not, it's been great watching you play and following along for the ride. So thanks for that, and all the best through the summer shorts.
All right, thanks, guys.
Forward Matt Boucher is up next in our exit interview series. Talk about a wild year for you. You end up playing basically the full season here on a pair of PTOs. Looking back on how your season started and how it finished, how would you kind of characterize this campaign for yourself?
It was a great experience, to be honest with you. It was kind of a crazy year, like you said, coming in for the first time in early November, I believe it was, and then coming back a few weeks later. I guess there was a plan for me to be here for a minimum of 10 to 14 days, and obviously that ended up being about 6 months. So great experience, obviously a lot of opportunity here, and couldn't ask for any better.
Yeah, and you weren't alone in terms of the ECHL guys who came up and had to play extended time here. What was that like to almost have almost a fraternity of guys in kind of the same position as you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, to be honest with you, it was big. I think we were all able to kind of speak about our experience and kind of lean on it to each other. I don't think that's something that happens a lot in other teams, but I believe we had 3 guys that were here for extended periods of time. I think me, Betsy, and Luco were able to just kind of, like I said, just lean on each other, talk about whatever's going on, and that was big for us.
For like the fans who don't really understand like PTOs and how they work, what's it like having to play a full season on a tryout?
I mean, it's different. Last year I was on a 2-way American League deal. I decided that wasn't something I wanted to do again this year, just because you're kind of locked into the same organization. And being on a PTO, you start the year in the East Coast and you can get called up to any team. Obviously, it was beneficial for me this year. And just going throughout the year, just kind of come in every day and work as hard as you can, Like I said, I came in with a suitcase, came in dressed pretty much the same every day, and had to prove my worth every day, just work as hard as I could. So it's a day-by-day mentality, trying to not look too far ahead, just prove what I have every day, and that's what I tried to do.
You mentioned proving your worth. You've proven that you can play at the American Hockey League's level now, 16 points in 50 games, a +9 rating as well. How big was that for you going into this summer, knowing that you can be a difference maker at this level?
It was huge. Obviously last year was a tough year for me. I had a shoulder surgery last year, so just coming into this year, like I said, I didn't want to go again on 2. I just wanted to kind of take a gamble on myself. I think it panned out. Came in, like I said, try to work hard every day, and I think looking back on it right now, I don't think it's settled in right now, but maybe in a few weeks I'll look back and say, it was huge for my confidence, and obviously going into next year knowing that I can play at this level.
Your adaptability, you've been able to play up and down the lineup, power play, penalty kill. Can you kind of talk us through that and your ability to move up and down the lineup so well?
Yeah, a big thing for me, I've always been, I wouldn't say more of an offensive guy. I've always took a lot of pride in playing a 200-foot game. I think obviously this year, like I said, a lot of opportunity, whether it was top six, bottom six, a lot of fourth line, some PK, some power play. If I were a coach, I had a dad that coached me. I know how big it is to have guys you can rely on, just plug in anywhere in the lineup. I played center, left wing, right wing for different spurts in the year. So something, like I said, I take a lot of pride in and I want to keep going for in the future.
Your dad's been a coach in the QMJHL and executive as well. Are you able throughout the summer to kind of look at tape with him and kind of nitpick what you want to work on throughout the course of the offseason?
I would say my dad watches a lot of my games. I wouldn't necessarily say in the summer. Maybe when I did play for him, we would look at certain things. Obviously, he's been through the game. During the year, he watches my games. He gives me a few pointers. But to be honest, he tries to stay away. He tries to tell me just to have fun. He is, knows how it is. Obviously, he played almost 20 years of pro hockey. So I have the utmost confidence in the coaching staff here. And whoever I work with, I'm 100% sure it's the same thing for him. So, yeah.
What's the rest of your summer look like once you finish up here and head home?
Yeah, it's going to be, all my stuff's still in Iowa, so I got to fly back to Iowa, go grab my car, basically my whole life, all my clothes, everything's still over there. So get a 2-3 day drive back to Quebec City. Probably take a few weeks off, to be honest, a little banged up. So after that, get back to work, try and get faster, stronger, and take care of the body a lot this summer and hopefully be ready for a big year next year. Nice
time to at least be able to spend some time out in Iowa or to be out there. The weather's nice this time.
Yeah,
right?
I heard it's pretty good right now.
Yeah, right on. Well, thanks for this, Boucher, and for everything all season long. It was awesome to kind of see your story develop. It was definitely one of the highlights, I think, for us from a storytelling perspective. So thanks for that, and good luck through the summer.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. I appreciate all the kind words throughout the year, and good to get to know you guys.
All right, next up on our exit interview series is Ridley Greig, who finishes the season and scored a goal in the last game of the year, which is always nice. Thanks for taking some time, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
What was the highlight of the season for you, and how would you maybe put this campaign into words, your rookie year here in the AHL?
Yeah, I think there's multiple different highlights. We had good stretches and bad stretches. We had some winning streaks and some losing streaks, but throughout the ups and downs of the year, probably just at the end there, we had a nice little playoff push. I think that was probably the most exciting part of the year. But yeah, that'd probably be my answer for me.
And you get your NHL call-up as well, and you play a few games in Ottawa too. Obviously, how did you find that experience, and maybe how did that impact how you played back down here?
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was nice to kind of get up there and get a little taste of the NHL for a little stint. And then that just gave me more confidence back here. I think when I came back, it just kind of felt like I was playing a quicker game, a little bit more like a hyperspeed. I think it felt like for me. But yeah, that'd probably be what I'd have to say for that.
Like David said, you were able to check off a lot of boxes this season. How does your summer look now that you've been able to play in the NHL, that you've been able to see the game speed up there and play a full year of pro hockey?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to take advantage of the long summer here. I got to work on some strength. That's probably the main part of my game. I'd like to gain quite a bit of weight here, and just kind of take that into camp, get as big as I can and kind of just get quicker and faster too. So just going to take advantage of the 5 months here and get going.
You were able to play in a Calder Cup playoff game last year with this team. Coming in, did the AHL kind of meet up with your expectations, or what did you kind of learn about this league throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, I think it did. It was nice to have that one game there last year. Kind of gave me a little bit of a taste, and going into this year, I think it took me a little bit to figure it out, like a couple months, and then I kind of went after there. It took me a little bit to figure out for sure. I think I had a little bit of a slow start, but after that, I was kind of easy sailing.
You mentioned you try to put some weight on the off season. What else will you do to take up your time over the next 4 months or so?
Well, I'm probably gonna do my fair bit of golfing, like most of the guys will be doing. But yeah, other than that, just kind of getting to see some family for the first little bit here for sure. See some old friends and just relax. I think yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, well, thanks for the time, Rids. Hell of a year for you, all things considered, and looking forward to seeing you back here in October, or maybe not.
Yeah, no, thank you, for sure.
We're with John Quenneville on Locker Cleanout Day at CAA Arena. An interesting season for you, not too dissimilar to that of Cole Cassels, who we chatted with earlier, and starting overseas and coming back to North America. What was the season like for you, looking back on things now?
Yeah, it was obviously a really busy year for me, I think, and my family. We were over in Europe for the start of the year in Sweden, and then obviously we made the decision to come back, and then came back here and got an opportunity to play. And yeah, it was just an awesome experience. I had a great time playing here with these guys, and it's been a great end to the year.
Disappointing, obviously, to not make the playoffs, but it seems, at least from our perspective, watching from the outside, that this team was able to make some pretty big strides, and you yourself were able to fit in rather seamlessly with this group.
Yeah, it was all right. I think there was a pretty big adjustment from the start. When I first came over, just adjusting to the game and the ice, and just life over here. I was it was a little bit harder. I was without my family, and it made it a little bit tougher, but I did the best I could, and just wanted to come in and be a good guy in the locker room, and try to help out the boys, be a good leader, and chip in on the ice and play my game. So I thought I could have produced more, but it would have been nice to see a full body of work over the course of a season, to see what happens. But overall, it was a really good experience. I think our team was a better team than we finished, probably. I think we did pretty well, but probably should have made the playoffs, and we had, I think, the group to do it. So, that's unfortunate, but I think the organization is in a good spot. I think a lot of players had good years, and there's a good vibe around here. It's a good really good group of people, and right from the staff and to the players and everyone around. So it's been a great experience, and I've really enjoyed it so far. This year, it was a good time.
Why was Belleville the right spot for you? I know you put up pretty good numbers with Zurich Lions, Leksand, Sweden. You were producing as well. Why was Belleville kind of the spot that you wanted to be in?
Well, just kind of the way it worked out. I had some connections here. I knew Benny Sexton, and played with him first year of my pro career, and I just seemed like a good fit for me to come play, and things worked out, and I'm really happy I was able to come.
There's a large contingency of WHL guys in the room, guys that maybe you played against, or guys from that kind of part of the world. How nice is it to kind of have those connections in the room as well?
It is. It's great. Tons of Canadian guys as well. It was a really great time. It actually felt like I was playing junior again, honestly, just with the morale and the group of guys that we have around here. You guys know the guys. It's an awesome group of people. So, that was really interesting. Nice to have all the Canadians, a lot of Canadian junior players, and everyone's great guys. The Euros, the Canadian guys. I think was Blue the only American other than Cass as a dual.
Yeah, I think so.
But so everyone, we had a great group of people, and but having all the Canadian guys was really, really interesting experience. Haven't really had that in pro hockey yet, so it was awesome.
What's the summer look like for you? Obviously, a contract year, like a bunch of the guys in this room. How do you kind of deal with that? And then how else will you blow off some steam this summer?
Yeah, well, for right now, I'm just going to go and be a dad. I got a new baby girl, and I'm going to go be a dad and do the best I can at that, and learn and figure that whole part of my life out. It's going to be an amazing experience. I'm so excited for that. Other than that, in the summer, I got a wedding in the middle of the summer, so I'm going to be getting married.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's going to be a great summer overall. I'm going to obviously train, get ready for next season, and then in my downtime, hopefully try to play some golf. So that's the plan, and Yeah, I'm excited.
There's been a theme: weddings, babies, and golf is pretty much everybody's off season. It looks like. Yeah. Well, again, we appreciate all the time you've taken for us since you've been here, Q. It was fun to watch you play, and all the best through the summer and beyond, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
All right, Matt Wedman's up next in our exit interview series. Thanks for taking a couple minutes. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
What was the season like for you? Obviously, you were off to an okay start, had the injury, and then you managed to come back and finish the campaign pretty strong. How would you kind of characterize the season for yourself?
Yeah, obviously not the season I wanted to have personally, but facing adversity, it's always the challenge with injuries, but it's about how you bounce back, and I thought I came back strong and did what I could to help the team win at the end of the home stretch.
As a returning guy on this team, how do you feel this group kind of handled everything that they faced together between the injuries, the call-ups, the goaltending situation? How do you feel this group handled it, and what were kind of the keys to getting through that?
Yeah, I think it's a testament to the guys in this room. I think we stuck together the whole year. We fought right to the end, and I guess we didn't come close enough, but I thought we came together really well as a team and shows a lot about the guys in this room.
You had a strong rookie campaign last year. How do you feel like you were able to kind of continue that into your sophomore campaign? Like David mentioned, the end of the year you had a really strong finish.
Yeah, that's all about just confidence. Getting more games in the league, you're gonna do more stuff with the puck, make the right plays. And just keeping your head up and knowing that you can make those plays. So that's probably the biggest thing, and the coaching staff has really helped with that.
How was it like kind of gelling here? As you mentioned, there's a lot of line mates that you had, different line mates you had to play with. I know Graham McPhee, you kind of were able to develop some chemistry with him. Matthew Boucher at the end of the year and kind of created an identity line. What was that like?
Yeah, anytime you can get a few games under your belt with a couple line mates, it always helps. You kind of know where the guys are going to be and how they play and their style. So when me, Mac, and Boucher got together, I think we really talked and tried to figure out what we did well as individuals and as a line. So I think that really helped us.
You got to play a little bit more center this year as well. I know you played that in your junior career. What was that like at the American Hockey League level?
Yeah, growing up, I was always a center. Coming into pro hockey, obviously, that's an adjustment. So you kind of got to go with the flow and do what the coaches tell you. But I'm really glad I got to play the wing too. So I got to learn all three, left, right, and center. So it always helps when you can play all three.
I guess when you go into this free agency period, you kind of have that to hang your hat on, that you can play all three forward positions.
Yeah, for sure. I can play anywhere a team needs me, so that's definitely a positive.
What's the rest of your off-season, your summer look like? I know you were able to sign pretty quickly last year, but contract negotiations aside, maybe what else you got planned?
I'm just heading back home to Edmonton. I'm staying with my mom there, so just looking forward to seeing friends and family, and then get back to training in a month here.
That's awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy the summer. I know it's longer than most of you guys, all of you guys would like, but try to make the best of it, and hopefully we'll see you back here, and if not, all the best the rest of the way. Weds, appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
With Sens defenseman Max Guenette as we continue rolling through these exit interviews at the end of the 22-23 season. Thanks for taking a few minutes, man.
Thank you.
Busy
Thanks
day, I know. How would you kind of put the season for yourself into words this year? I think you probably jumped up on the radar for a lot of people that maybe weren't following you before and had a lot of opportunity to play in some different roles. How was the season for you overall?
I think overall for me it went pretty good. Like you said, I got some opportunity this year, and I think I took those opportunity to be a little bit my game. I was able to put some points on board too, and I think just having more ice time, having more confidence too in my game, I was able to I would say play more minutes and play more good minutes in my games overall. So yeah, I think overall it went pretty good for me.
I was going to ask about the offensive output. I think you really kind of put yourself on the map with that skill set. What were kind of the keys to your offensive success this year?
I don't think I'm a flashy defenseman overall. I think just to take it simple, put some pucks on net, trying to create offense, but without being reckless, I would say. But no, I don't think I'm an offensive defenseman overall. I will build my game around like a two-way defenseman more. But if I'm able to put some points on the board, like I did this year, I think it's got a plus for me.
Did you feel your season kind of came full circle, and you were the captain at the Prospect Showcase in Buffalo? You make your NHL debut in Buffalo. Can you kind of talk us through that?
Yeah, I think first of all, it was an awesome moment for me, for my family, girlfriend, my whole family in general. So just to be able to wear that jersey again, without the C though, but no, just be able to wear that jersey again. Be able to practice and they act with class Ottawa, because they told me a couple days before the game that I would play my first game, so my family could just come in Buffalo and see me play. So I think it was really nice from them. But no, I think it was a good thing for this year, just to close up my year, and no, really grateful for that moment. It's going to be in my head probably forever.
You were also able to play all 72 games here. How much pride do you take in that, being able to be in the lineup each and every night for this club?
No, I think it was awesome for me, be able to dress every night, to be healthy too. I had some small injuries like everybody else, but I think to just go through that, play solid games every night, try to take every game that I can, was good for me, for my development too.
How much does the success of the season kind of help you when you go into the off season, knowing that you're able to make a difference in the American Hockey League?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great off season for me. With that year that I had, with that game that I had too, with Ottawa, it's going to be an interesting off season, just with the signature going to be the new ownership in Ottawa. What I think for me is just it's going to be simple, just to come in at the Ottawa's camp ready to get a job probably up there, if possible. And yeah, I think not if possible. It's going to be my goal ultimately. But no, it's going to be interesting. I'm pumped to start the off season, and no, it's going to be exciting, I think.
What else you have planned outside of your regular training and getting set for next year?
Nothing special. I just bought a house with my girlfriend back home.
Mazel tov, yeah.
So yeah, I'm moving in as ASAP. So that's my ultimate goal, I think, for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, get settled and then right back to work.
Exactly, yeah.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate this. Congrats on your personal achievements this year.
Thank you very much.
Summer, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, next up in our exit interview series, Jorian Donovan got into his first 2 pro games at the end of the season. Thanks for taking a few minutes, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What was that experience like, getting into AHL action in Toronto, no less, a pretty big hotbed in this league? How did you find your first couple pro games?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I think biggest take for me right now is just it's a learning experience. It's cool to come up from junior and play your first 2 games and just see how everyone prepares and how everyone plays. And it's pro, so it's just it's a different level, and everyone plays faster, stronger, and it's just it's a cool learning experience for a young guy like me to come up and just watch everyone and really feel the pace and play of the AHL.
Is there anything that surprised you, maybe in terms of either that preparation or on the ice in those first couple games?
Yeah, I would say I don't know if I'd say surprised, but kind of anticipated that everyone's going to be pretty well prepared and that pro level. But I think really the biggest thing for me was the structure is just it's to another level. You come from the OHL where it's all very well coached, but here it's taken to the next level. Every little detail is accounted for, and I think that was the biggest thing that surprised me.
You're in a pretty advantageous position being in Ottawa and able to skate at the Sensplex. Who do you usually skate with in the summer and kind of use as your development coach through the course of the offseason?
Yeah, well, for a development coach, I usually have my dad there and Jesse Winchester. Those two have been...
pretty good pair.
Yeah. So those two have been great, and I've had them. And Wade Redden's come down a couple as a defenseman. I like to look up to him and take his advice. But having the two forward coaches, Jesse Winchester and my dad, has been pretty cool. So.
You're a pretty offensive defenseman. We saw your skills throughout your first two American Hockey League games. You put up 45 points in Hamilton over 55 games. How much of a credit is that to your skating ability and your hockey sense to create that offense?
Yeah, so I don't know. I would say mostly I think the only thing that really is good in my game is my skating. I just like to use my feet, so I think that's what it helps me create plays in the offensive zone, jumping into holes. And yeah, so I think right now it's just use my confidence in skating, and that's really what helps me in the offensive zone.
What does the rest of your summer look like? Obviously, the usual skating, preparing for next season. How else will you spend your time?
Yeah, so obviously when the season comes to an end, you take a little break. So probably go see my family, hang out with a couple friends at home, and then get back to work. Probably just working out and skating in Ottawa. I don't have to travel far to go work out and skate, which is nice, and I'll be close to a lot of development people for the Ottawa Senators. So, yeah, just go home, hang out with some friends and family, and then get back to work.
And set you up nicely for next season, I suppose, either with the Bulldogs or back here at some point.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's nice get to have a lot of options when you're young. So I think that will be a good thing and another thing to push me through this summer.
Well, it was great to be able to call your debut, to watch you play for a couple games, and looking forward to seeing more down the road. Thanks for this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, up next on our exit interview series, Cole Reinhardt, Senators forward. Thanks for taking a couple minutes.
No problem.
Got a tea time booked,
Can
I
you hear
imagine?
me?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
Yeah, I got a tea time.
Yeah.
Tea time.
At Black Bear?
Yeah.
Of course, the home of the Belleville Senators
Yep.
in the off-season. How would you kind of put this season into words for yourself, looking back on October and the way that this whole campaign went for you?
Personally, I thought it was a lot of ups and downs. Same with the group. We had a lot of adversity with players going down and up and wherever they went. So, yeah, I thought we had a really good team. We had coaching change. There's a lot going on, and we were right there with them and just didn't work out at the end.
What were kind of the keys, I guess, as a group in getting through all of that adversity that you guys faced this year?
I think we had a great leadership group to lead us through that, and great group of older guys. So I think, we just battled through, went through tough times together, and better times came through it.
You mentioned the adversity, but for yourself, you set a career high in points. Did you kind of feel your offensive game starting to click a little bit this season?
Yeah. I think it's every year you come in here, you get more comfortable and know how to make plays and get better. So, yeah.
The man next to you, Egor Sokolov, and yourself, you're one game back of setting a franchise record for the most games played as Belleville Senators. What does that mean to you guys? And you talk about the adversity and guys going up and down and injuries, but both of you guys have been able to put a nice string of games together.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We're going on to year 4, and we're about to set the record. So we thought we were going to do it this year, but things happened. So
yeah, he was making sure to take some time off when, I was not there, and I was making sure to take time off when he was not there. So
it worked out perfectly for you guys.
We make sure finishing the same games.
What's the rest of the offseason look like for you? Obviously, you're locked up for next season, so you don't have to deal with some of the contract stuff that other guys do. But what's the offseason look like for you?
Just take a little bit of time off. I go back to the ranch in Calgary and then start working out and skating.
Yeah. Do you do most of that at the ranch, or you?
No, I go into Calgary.
Okay. Right on.
Jacob Bernard Docker, Dillon Heatherington, some other guys from the Calgary area. Are you able to connect with them throughout the summer?
Yeah, we're planning to ice skate with Doc a little bit, and then I think we're planning to golf and stuff together. So
Nice to be able to keep the group together through the summer a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice to have some Western boys on the team.
Yeah, just a handful, eh? Right on. I mean, it was an awesome season for you, and we really appreciate all the time you've taken for us. So, thanks for this, Rhino. Enjoy the summer and shoot some low scores. Eh?
Thanks to you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Continuing through these clean-out day interviews with defenseman Jacob Bernard Docker. Thanks for taking a couple minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's the season for you? Up and down. You get a little bit of a look in the NHL. You have another good season here with the Belleville Sens. How did you feel about things?
Yeah, obviously, as a team here in Belleville, we would have liked to make the playoffs, and it's always disappointing when you don't. But from a personal level, I think I took a step this year in my game, and obviously, ups and downs throughout the season, and definitely some low moments. But I think some learning moments for me for sure, and things that I can take into the summer, and be proud of the season I had, but at the same time, know what I need to work on, going forward.
You were named Defenseman of the Year here. What does that honor mean to you, and just kind of your progression that's being noticed?
I mean, it's a huge honor. I think there's obviously a few other guys on this team that could have had that award, so it's something I take a lot of pride in. It's the guys on this team are the guys that allowed me to succeed this year, and the coaching staff here, and I have nothing but good things to say about my teammates, my coaches here, and they just kind of allowed me to go and play my game, and
one of the guys you've grown close to is Dillon Heatherington. How much has he made an impact on your young career so far? And you're both from the Calgary area. Will you be able to skate with him again this summer?
Yeah, he's just been huge for me. I mean, we trained in the summer together at the Edge. And then obviously last year was the first year I played with him. And, we've kind of been deep partners, I think, pretty much since day one here. And it's been an honor to play with him. And he's an even better guy off the ice. So I think that's what I've learned most from him is just how to conduct myself off the ice. And he's such a leader, such a professional, and one of the best guys around. So it's been a pleasure.
Looking ahead to the summer, it's a bit of a different summer for you, I suppose, looking at things in terms of contract and things like that. What are your expectations for the summertime in terms of that? And then what else have you got going on outside of trying to figure that stuff out?
Yeah, obviously my contract's up, so I guess I don't really have many expectations. I think for me, I tried to put my best foot forward this season, and wherever that contract goes, with the negotiations, I think is something that's kind of out of my control now. So obviously, want to be back here and do my best to be in Ottawa next year, right? As much as I love the guys here and the coaches here, that's obviously everyone's goal here is to get to that NHL level. So hopefully that's the case. But this summer it's just back to some family time here for the first month and try to relax a bit and obviously watch some NHL playoffs and hopefully get on the course for a few rounds and then kind of get back into the thick of things, starting in, I guess, mid-May and June.
I was going to ask about the golf game, but I know you guys get out to Black Bear Ridge, which is a fantastic partner of ours with the Belleville Sens. How do you feel about that course? It's a kind of a nice little perk to play in here in Belleville.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's a lot of fun being out there, and it kind of makes me feel pretty bad about my golf game sometimes.
It's tough, man. It's a tough
But I have a lot of fun with the guys, and I think that's what it's all about. Golfing is just being out with your friends and being in the fresh air and enjoying the outdoors. So it's something I'm looking forward to this summer.
And maybe just how do you feel that even despite missing the playoffs, that this season kind of sets the Senators up moving ahead?
Yeah, I think there's definitely things we can take. Obviously, we had a lot of injuries this year, and a lot of key guys out of our lineup for long periods of time, and guys did great jobs of stepping in and filling those roles. But at the end of the day, if you're missing some of your top guys for that long, it's hard to recover with the parity in our division. So I think going forward, we just got to take the positives from this year and move forward and know that if we have a healthy lineup and next year hopefully take a step and be one of the top teams in the division.
Yeah, lots of positives, again, including your Defenseman of the Year honor. Congrats on that again. All the best through the summer, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Forward Brennan Saulnier is our next guest in our exit interview series, and new to Belleville this season. You came in from the Laval Rocket relatively early on, obviously hampered by injury at the end of the campaign. How do you kind of put this whole season into perspective for yourself?
It was it was one of my favorite seasons. Obviously, winnings, not winning is never good enough. But we had a good group of guys here who went through a lot this season. There's a lot of changes and backs against the wall. Fought our way out right to the end and gave ourselves a chance, to get in the playoffs at the end. Finishing with a really strong record. After everything that kind of went down. It was good, and I'm grateful for Ryan Bowness and management for getting me out of a bad situation early on and giving me a spot here. And these guys really they made me feel like part of the family right away. So it was a super comfortable transition, and I had a lot of blasts with this group of guys. It was a fun group. So just thankful for the organization, and I'd love to be back. And we'll see what happens over the summer.
Yeah, I was going to say, with you and some of the other guys who came in to basically fill holes and add support to this team, it did seem like everybody kind of fit in really well here and rather quickly too.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you have a group of guys that want to see the guy next to them succeed and do well, that's a recipe for a winning team. Obviously, we went through a couple losing streaks there, and in the end, we just didn't have enough points. But I feel like if this group did squeezed in to playoffs at the end there, we definitely would have made some noise. So they got a good core group here, good leadership, and a lot of talented prospects, and a bunch of guys that are really close and want to see each other succeed. So that's a winning formula moving forward.
You had a really successful season on the ice. Off the ice, you were able to make some positive impacts, I would say, off the ice as well. School visits. You went to Three Oaks Shelter as well during the Christmas season. How much did that mean to you to kind of get engaged with this community?
It's so important. Our job is to be professional athletes, and part of that is filling the stands. And to do that, you got to get in the community and build those relationships. And I think it's always important to go in and see the kids, go to the women's shelter, and just give back to the community. And we were all young boys, young girls, growing up playing the game, and to see pro athletes or junior athletes come in, it really made my day when I was their age. So as long as I'm playing, I'm going to continue to do that because I just know how important it is, and I enjoy doing it as well.
You've obviously had success in this league with Lehigh Valley. You come here. What kind of clicked for you in Belleville?
I think just the opportunity. Like when I came in, the coaching staff gave me a chance to play regular minutes every night, and I'm confident in my game that if I was to ever get that opportunity, I'd make the best of it. Got an opportunity to play with some great players, Sabrin and Cassels early on, and a mix of kind of everyone else, for the rest of my 30 games there. Unfortunately, I got hurt, in the most important time of the season there at the end. But I'm happy with how my game was when I was in the lineup, and hopefully have a good summer and pick up right where I left off next hockey season.
What's that summer look like for you? Big plans at all, or?
Yeah, I'll be going back to Halifax. Just take some time and relax and get this wrist feeling 100%, and then I'll get back into my training program, and a lot of good pros back home and junior players, and that really push each other to be great. So go home, get healthy, and just fine-tune my game, get better each day, and hopefully have my best hockey season yet next year.
Well, all the best with that, and maybe we'll see you back here in October. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thanks, guys.
And appreciate everything you did do with the school programs and all that. It made a huge difference for us, and like you said to the kids and everyone else in the community, huge piece of what we're trying to do here, so we appreciate that. So.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, next up in our exit interview series, sends forward Graham McPhee, who joined the team later in the year in a trade from Bakersfield and finished out the campaign. Thanks for taking a couple minutes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How was your brief time here in Belleville? And maybe going back to the start of the season, how was this year overall for you?
Yeah. You know what? I really enjoyed my time here in Belleville. I have the utmost respect for the coaching staff here, and the players and the guys really welcomed me with open arms. And I couldn't be more thankful and grateful for the opportunity that I got to play, and not only just play and be a part of this group. So I really had a blast.
A bit of a whirlwind for you to basically move coast to coast and then have to acclimatize to a new team and things like that. Did you feel like you were able to do that in the time you were here?
Yeah, you know, it takes adjustments, but it only takes a few days, and it's part of the business. So you got to kind of expect that sometimes when you're going to choose this as your career path. So, you know, it really wasn't a big deal. It took me a couple days, and I was used to it. So.
Graham, your summer, how does that look for you? Are you going to go to Las Vegas or stay in the Boston area? I know you've done both.
So I still have my lease in California through May, so I'm going to go back there and probably spend a few weeks with my wife, and then my family's going to be in Boston after the NHL playoffs are over, so I'll probably spend most of the summer there.
Who are you able to work out with normally during your summers? I know Boston's kind of a hotbed for hockey. Who do you train with, and who's kind of your development and skills coach over the offseason?
So there's a lot of college guys that I played with that went to Boston College that still train out in Boston. Guys like Matt Boldy, Luke McGinnis, Alex Newhook's out there sometimes, Colin White, a bunch of NHL guys. So and just Boston in general, it's obviously flooded with good hockey talent. So it's a good spot to train in the summer. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting home and really getting ready for next year.
Be able to share some Belleville stories with Colin White.
Yeah, for sure. I forgot that he was here. I'll have to talk to him about that.
Pretty sure his photo's going up on the wall in the room, actually. Yeah, it's like we said, a different year for you. Now you kind of go into that free agency window. Yeah. Is there some trepidation, anxiety? What's the mindset going into a contract?
Not necessarily. I'm just looking for a job in the American League, and whether that's here or anywhere else, I'd open it with open arms, and I'm just looking forward to getting those conversations started. So.
Perfect. Well, it was great to have you here, even though for a short time. Good luck through the summer. All the best as we head into next season.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
All right, next up, we're with defenseman Lassi Thomson as we continue these exit interviews. Yeah, that makes sense. Lassi, how was the year for you, man? Coming back here to Belleville again, pretty familiar with the surroundings and with the league. How did you find this season on an individual basis?
Well, obviously, it's a lot of up and downs this year. I feel like it wasn't my best year. What I can give to team, and obviously, when you play full year in the AHL, it's not the goal. What do you want to make? Like obviously, we're here and we want to make in the NHL, and I think it's going to be a lot of work this summer to get there next year, and not going to be here full time. Yeah,
what I guess areas do you feel like you need to improve on the most here in the summertime?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of course what I need to work. I think the biggest thing is for me is more like stay in the same level, not that much like up and downs. I think that's the biggest part for me work on this summer.
Kind of like the mental side of things, you mean?
Yeah, I kind of like mental side, like play game by game, shift by shift. That's, I think, like be same level every shift.
Yeah.
There's obviously some positives you can also take out of this campaign. You had 33 points, a career high. Were you happy with your offensive contributions this season?
Yeah, of course. I think that was the thing. What I was happy actually this year, like my offensive game, and of course those points doesn't mean that much for me. Like I wanted the team wins, and obviously disappointing we didn't make the playoffs this year. But yeah, I think that's part of the game. It's
better side, and I need to focus more the defensive game.
Were you able to learn anything about yourself this season through the injuries and kind of maybe through the ups and downs that you can kind of take with you as you progress in your career?
Yeah, of course. I think like you learn every year, you learn so much, and when you get older, you learn from the older guys, and even from the younger guys, you learn little stuff. And I think that's a big part of it. As a hockey player, you grow up every day.
You have a close relationship with David Bell. What was it like seeing him kind of take over the reins as head coach?
Yeah, of course. I've been working with Belleville the last 3 years, and I think we've been getting pretty close together, and obviously it was cool to see him as a head coach, and I like him a lot. So for me, it was a cool thing, and he's been around my whole career here, so I like it a lot.
What does your summer look like in the next few weeks, and I guess in preparing for next season?
Yeah, probably try to take a little bit time off. Of course, it's been a long season and a lot of hockey lately, so try to get a couple weeks off and then try to get work on and see how the summer goes.
Perfect. Well, yeah, all the best with your summer prep, and looking forward to at least seeing you maybe here in October, but like you say, not for the whole year.
Yeah, I hope so. We don't see here October, but we'll see.
Well, if not here, we'll see you in camp somewhere.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lance.
Thank you.
Roby Jarventie is our next guest on the Exit interview series. Thanks for taking some time, Rob. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
What was the season like for you? Obviously, you had that injury that took you out for quite a while early on. How would you kind of put the whole season into words?
Individually, I think I had a pretty good start for a year. Then I missed for the next three months. That was it, and it took a while after that to get back, like where my game like could be. So yeah, it was a tough time after that, but I think I improved during the end, like during the last games, and I think. As a whole, I think I had a pretty solid year. As a team, I think we had a tough year. We had a lot of injuries, a lot of call-ups and stuff like that, so we didn't have our best lineup for most of the time. So, I think with our group, if we had all of our players, we would have made the playoffs. But, that's something we couldn't, how do I say it,
Yeah, you just kind of miss out because of all that adversity, and we've talked about it all season long. How many challenges this team faced. Do you feel like it kind of sets this group up well for next season?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, we don't know who's here next year, but we have some good young players, and I hope a lot of guys are coming back because I like your team this year, and we had a good group in here. So I hope a lot of guys comes back.
When you look back on your season, when do you think it really started to click for you? I know at the end of the year you were able to put up some really great point totals. You went on a stretch of 6, 7, 8 games collecting points each night. When did you kind of feel like you were back healthy and starting to get your offensive game clicking?
I think it was like after injuries, probably like 8-10 games. Those couple of all games, I had a couple of goals each. So I think that really boosted my confidence, and I felt pretty good after that. So that's probably the turning point I had there.
30 less games, but you were able to collect 5 more goals. You almost hit your point total from last year. How much were you able to get acclimated to the American Hockey League this year after playing a full 70 games last year?
Yeah, obviously I knew what to expect this year, and it was obviously I'm like bigger, stronger, and improved from last year. So it was kind of easier to come here this year and just start playing. So I felt pretty good this year, and just hope to keep it going next year and improve even more.
What's your off-season plan look like in terms of I guess maybe getting some rest and then getting set for next season?
Going back home in a couple of days, then probably taking probably 3 weeks off, maybe go some vacation, and then start working for next year.
Yeah, pretty simple, pretty basic plan, I'd say. Going anywhere exciting on your vacation?
Probably going to Spain or somewhere in Europe. So
that's a good choice. Yeah.
That's a pretty nice spot. Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Yeah. Well, we appreciate the time, Rob, and great season for you, all things considered. Looking forward to seeing you back here in October.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
All right. We're with Sens goaltender Antoine Bibeau on locker cleanout day. You had a pretty interesting season, to say the least. I know you battled through a lot of minor ailments and still put up a whole pile of appearances and some really good performances as well for the Belleville Sens. How did you feel about your year overall?
I mean, I felt really good all the way up until New Year's, and then I think that's really when things changed. And then, like you said, the second half of the season struggling with minor injuries, but every single time it was something that would keep me off the ice for a week or two, so it was tough to get any rhythm. And then, overall, I mean, it was an interesting year.
And very strange with the amount of goaltenders that came through as well. What's it like to have so many other goalies kind of in the organization and everybody kind of jockeying for position and trying to make the most of their opportunities?
I mean, it was a weird situation in the sense that we came in, there wasn't that many goalies, and then, everyone got hurt. One after the other, so it was kind of weird. But then at the end of the day, then it shows you that nothing's guaranteed. If you get hurt, someone else will have a chance to play, and so I think it was pushing each other to want to be in the net. But yeah, like I said, it was a little abnormal season on the goalie side.
You just finished your 9th American Hockey League season. You mentioned the goalies that all came through. Were you able to kind of help in a mentorship role with some of these guys?
Yeah, and I think that was a big part of. I understood where I am in my career, and like I said, the second half was tough on me in the sense that I wasn't playing, but I was still doing my best helping the young goalies. Whether I've had some good chat with Mando, just asking me question about how to handle different things, and I did my best with Sogi and Leevi and Fergie and I was there for them to support them, even though because I knew what they were kind of going through, and that was something that I really enjoy and embraced, helping them in any way I could.
Your first season here in Belleville, what was it like working with a guy like Justin Peters? I know a lot of the goaltenders in the organization just rave about
it's awesome. I mean, he's such a good goalie coach, but he's an even better person, super easy to talk to. And the fact that he played the position, he retired not that long ago, so he understands what we're going through. So sometimes, when things come up, whether it's hockey-related or not, he's super, super easy to talk to. So, yeah, it was great working with him.
When you look back on the season, what will you remember most? Is it the beginning of the season when you were able to kind of carry this team through some troubled waters, or is it just the...
Yeah, well, obviously I have good memories of games that I played before Christmas when I was playing more and I was playing well. But at the end of the day, I think it's just how resilient this team was. The guys were really close in the dressing room, and I think that's really what struck me with this team is guys were close, guys were battling for each other, even though it wasn't an easy season for anyone. Like, we were still battling, and it's been like this all year. So,
was it nice to get back to Canada and live in Belleville? And what did you think of the Bay of Quinte region?
It's great. I mean, it's been great. I haven't been able to explore as much as I wanted to with the baby, but no, it was good to be back in Canada after I think it was 5 or 6 years away. So just play close to family could come and see our kids. So that was really nice compared to playing super far from home.
What does the off-season look like for you? Obviously contract year and trying to find somewhere to land, but maybe aside from that, what do you have planned this summer?
Not a whole lot. Go home, recharge, get healthy, and prepare for next season, get in shape, and really fresh start. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you doing this for us and taking time for us all season long. It's been a pleasure to watch you play, and all the best through the summer and beyond.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
With Sens forward Angus Crookshank as we continue on this exit interview series. Thanks for taking a couple minutes, man.
No, thanks for having me, boys. Appreciate it.
How would you characterize this season? Obviously, high expectations in the sense that you missed all of last year. You played 71 games for the Belleville Sens this season. How was the campaign for you overall?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of learning for me, especially this year. I mean, I told the coaching staff the same thing. I think if you look at my game at the start of the year to where it is now, I think I'm a completely different player. I think I really rounded out my structural game, my defensive game, which was something that, in all honesty, was something I really needed to improve on. And the coaching staff let me know that pretty early in the season. So kind of seeing that growth and being able to be trusted last minute of game with the goalie out, PK, all that sort of stuff, really, that's probably the thing I'm most impressed with myself this year.
Even with that improvement on the two-way play, you still lead this team in goals scored. That must feel nice to be the guy at the top of the goal column at the end of the season.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool thing. I didn't really have any sort of kind of expectations when it came to producing or anything like that. I wanted to produce. Obviously, I love to score goals. I don't think there's a better feeling in the world than scoring a goal. But to do that after last year was I'm pretty happy with that.
Dating back to when we talked to you in Buffalo at the Prospect Showcase, a big thing for you was wanting to play a full season here after missing the year with the torn ACL.
Mm-hmm.
How big was that for you, just to show that you can play a full 72 schedule?
Yeah, it's awesome. In all honesty, like I said previously, I wasn't really sure what to expect going into this year, and that was just a kind of a basic goal I had. So having that kind of come to fruition was huge for me. And just knowing that my knee can withstand it. I didn't have any doubts about it, but that just kind of reaffirmed it. And it was kind of funny. Yesterday, I noticed on the bench, was like, damn, I guess I am wearing a brace right now. Like, I don't really notice it.
It's just a part of you now.
Yeah, it's just a part of me now. Like, I don't really notice it anymore, which is kind of a nice feeling, to be honest with you.
You've played 90 games in the American Hockey League now. You got 63 points, pretty impressive. How has the American Hockey League kind of lived up to the billing that it gets as one of the top leagues in the world?
Yeah, it's funny. The boys joke it's the hardest league in the world for a reason. With all the travel and 3-3s, all that sort of stuff. So that was the thing I kind of had to get used to, for sure. But no, in all honesty, it helps with the group of guys that we had in the room. But everyone binds together and pulls their weight in games like that, where you may not be feeling your best, but at the end of the day, everyone's gonna do the right things and the right thing for the team to get the best result possible.
You get through the full season in the AHL. Obviously, the NHL is the ultimate goal. And in talking with Sens general manager Pierre Dorion this week, you've been identified, obviously, as one of those guys who, if you put a strong start to next season together, can find yourself up there. How much do you look at the past Belleville Sens guys like Drake Batherson, Josh Norris, who kind of followed that same path where they found some really strong success in the AHL and were able to transition that up to the NHL?
Yeah, obviously you can draw upon other guys, and obviously Drake, Josh are great examples. But at the end of the day, I'm not Drake Batherson, I'm not Josh Norris, I'm Angus Crookshank. So I have my own route, and at the end of the day, all I can worry about is what I can do individually to get myself there, and I will do whatever it takes to get to that next level.
Yeah. With that in mind, what's the summer look like for you?
Yeah, a little bit of time off. I'm the development staff kind of told me, hey, actually take some time off this summer, because I normally get right into things when I'm back home, which is good and bad, and I guess in a sense. But I don't know. I can't really stay away from rink all that long.
Yeah.
But I'll have some time off. I'm going to drive back, so I'll kind of take my time. I'm staying at a ranch in Montana for a few days, so
nice.
I'll kind of be able to just kind of immerse myself in nature on the back of a horse, which will be good. But and then kind of go up, do a little bit of golfing, and then by that point I'll be chomping at the bit to get back in the rink and back in the gym.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to next season, wherever you end up, here or Ottawa. Either way, enjoy the summer, man. You've certainly earned a bit of a break.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate everything you do for us.
Back in the crease, continuing on these clean-out day interviews, Matt Sogaard's with us, and it's been a back-and-forth year for you, a nice stint in the NHL, and finished up with us here in Toronto the other day. Thanks for taking a couple minutes for us.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
How would you classify the season or characterize it from your perspective?
I think there's been lots of lessons to be learned. I've been put in some situations that I haven't been in before. Just learned a ton. I think I have a lot of knowledge that I didn't have last summer. So for me, I'm just I know the season just ended, but already super excited just to start working and preparing for next season.
You had some pretty cool moments this year, including you and Kev Mandalese, who were partners here in Belleville, get to play in the NHL together as well. What was that experience like?
That was great. That was one of the top moments for me this year. Getting to watch him get his first game and being right there with him is, obviously it's something, you never forget your first game, but for me to be there with him for his first, we're really, really good friends off the ice as well. It was just so special to me as well, and see him play the way he did was unbelievable. So couldn't be more happy for him, and so many moments throughout the year that I look back on, and that I'm super thankful that I was able to be in the crease for lots of them. Just enjoyed it, and thankful for the opportunities I got, and like I said, super excited for next season.
Last year, you showed that you were able to play in the NHL. Now you get 19 NHL games under your belt. How was that for you? Kind of the maturation process of showing that you could kind of carry the load at the National Hockey League level. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think before the season started that anyone was expecting me to play. What'd you say? 19 games? 19 games this year. So it was definitely a new situation, like I said, and. I loved it. I loved going up against the best players in the world. We got to play against McDavid and got to play against Matthews and McKinnon, and there's lots of great players there, and got to play against the Bruins as well. They're having a hell of a season, so it's just very, very fun to go up against those top guys and top teams in the National Hockey League, and see that you're right there. It's just about finding a way to have more of those good games than the average or bad games. So for me, it's just about bringing the work ethic every day in the summer, make sure that I do everything I can to be in the best possible shape when camp rolls around.
How much does that do for your confidence when you know that you were able to stare down, like you said, McDavid, Draisaitl, these types of players, and turn them away multiple times? What does that do for you going into the summer?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Obviously it's great to think that you can do it, but to actually go up against them and play in the situation of an NHL game was very, very cool. And it just makes me believe that if I keep working, that it can be a full-time thing. So for me, it's just about keep doing what I'm doing and make sure that I really dial it in. Not too much time off or anything. Just get right back to it and be as prepared as possible for next season.
Yeah, knocking at the door for sure on that full-time spot up in Ottawa. Anything else other than the training that you'll get up to for the off season?
I do have. I'm going to Greece with my girlfriend as well, nice. So we're very excited for that. It's she's been a rock all year. It's not easy being far away from each other, but she's probably the biggest support I had this year and the one I leaned the most on. So she, I'm very excited to spend some time with her, and it's been great. It's been great. So I'm just excited to go home, see her, and see the rest of my family as well, and really spend some time with them. I got some young siblings too that I don't get to see every day either. So very, very excited, and I think it's going to be great mentally as well, and it's definitely gonna recharge the batteries for next season. And I know I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be so excited to leave it all out there on the ice.
Well-deserved break and time off for you for sure. Enjoy that, and we'll talk to you in camp.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, next up is Sens defenseman Jonathan Aspero. Another productive season for you. Thanks for taking a few minutes for us.
Yeah, no problem.
How was the season for you? Obviously, like your teammates, I imagine, disappointed to not get back into the playoffs. But how did you find this campaign coming back from your injury and getting back into form?
It's been a different season for me, having that injury at the start of the season, missing a good half of the season with rehab and getting back together. But I think after that, everything went pretty well. Really happy how all the shoulder came around and the good stuff we did with Belf and Michi, and really helped me to get back on my games as quick as possible. And I think it's been a great season for the rest of me, yeah.
Your fourth season in Belleville now. How have you kind of seen yourself grow as a leader? I know you're a captain in Moncton. You were a letter there for most of your time. How have you seen yourself kind of grow into a mentorship role here?
Yeah, I've learned a lot playing in Belleville in the last 4 years. It's been a great 4 years for me for playing here, and with the coaches, I've learned so much, and all the guys around. It's been great. It's been great being here, and really enjoyed my time here.
Missed most of the start of the season, but you're still able to put up some pretty impressive stat lines. How much pride do you take in that you were able to have the season you did?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to always have a point on the score sheet and do stuff, but I think most important is to help the team win games and be the best player I can be on the ice for the team to succeed. And yeah, it's been a good season for me, but I'm happy with how the team reacted and the good half season we had there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, as one of those kind of returning guys, how do you think this team kind of responded to that adversity and all the challenges that you guys faced as a group this year?
I think we responded really well. I feel like everybody was thinking about us, about like being the underdog and not being a good hockey team, but I think we proved everyone wrong. And with the last stretch we just had at games and winning most of them, I think we proved to everyone that we're a really good hockey team and deserve better.
Another example of just how tough the North Division is.
Oh yeah, it's been really, really tight the last 4 years I've been here. It's always really tight to know who's going to make playoff or not, but it's a great division. It's great competition to have around, and it's really fun to play there.
What does the summer look like for you? Obviously, we go into the contract negotiation period now. You'll have to deal with that, but outside of that, what else do you have planned?
Not much. Relax, take care of the body if most I can, and then get back on the usual training, practice, playing some golf, seeing my friends, and just enjoy the good times that we have during summers.
Hopefully it's here, but should it not be, how much are you looking forward to getting into a full season again after the way that this one started?
Really excited. I mean, it's hard to start a season right in the middle of it and right after Christmas, but really hoping for next season everything goes well and I can be ready and be ready for the get-go. So really excited for next year and hopefully everything goes well.
Perfect. Appreciate the time, Johnny. All the best through the summer, and I'm sure we'll chat soon.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good summer.
Power forward Scott Sabourin up next on Locker Cleanout Day here at CAA Arena, finishing up another season here with the Belleville Sens. How did you feel about the year overall for yourself?
It's a shame it was cut short like it was.
Yeah.
I think our group deserved better. But when you run into injury problems and a long list of goalies and what have you, it makes things a little harder. But then again, it's the American League and there's, no excuses. There's lots of turnover every year. So, I was happy with the guys and the organization and my season personally. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year. And I look forward to a good summer of training and with my friend Egor Sokolov. He'll be spending time in Ottawa with me. So I'll try to get him squared away and dumping pucks in deep and playing good hockey.
You turned some heads, got some notice with the number of penalty minutes you racked up early in the season. But how much of that was kind of setting the tone for this team and the way that you guys played as a group through the rest of the year?
Yeah. Sorry, Igor here is bugging in the background. Yeah, it's definitely a part of it. I think it's important to kind of establish ourselves and myself personally as a physical presence earlier in the year, and that way, guys are checking the stat pack and they see that I haven't, lost that bite and maybe back them off and gives me more space on the ice, gives the young guys more space. I like to think it makes us play with a more confident group. And so, yeah, you don't want to be hurting your team and being in the box and getting scored on against, but there's a time and a place for it early in the year, and then I tried dialing it in and focusing on hockey in the second half. So
career year for you offensively as well, in goals, assists, and points. What kind of clicked for you this season?
I think it's just maturity, that and a bit of familiarity with an old junior line mate of mine, Cole Cassels, with another career year. So I think we kind of fed off each other well between that and a confident coaching staff. When a coaching staff and is confident in you and is willing to put you on the ice in certain situations and in all situations really, then it really helps kind of build up your confidence. And I think I've been trending in that direction for the last couple of years, and I'm looking to continue doing that hopefully 30 is the new 20, and we'll have an even bigger year next year.
You were able to wear a letter for this team as well this year, and we talked about it throughout the course of the season, the leadership group kind of holding everything together, as you mentioned it, the injuries, the recalls, all of that. How much pride do you take when you look back at what you were able to accomplish as a leader?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Heater does a great job of being a calming presence for us, and he's a great leader on and off the ice, and myself and Lucci and Cass can be, a little more vocal, and Chartier, I'd say, is a little on the quieter side. So, we have all sorts of different leaders here, and I think that's important in a locker room. It's a shame it didn't work out better, but considering all the highs and lows, I thought we kept everything, all glued together and moving in the right direction, and it was definitely a good locker room to be in.
What's summer look like for you? Another contract year, and I'm sure that'll add a little bit of uneasiness at the start, but I guess you hope to get that locked up as quick as you can, and then what else is going on?
Yeah, I'm 10 years in now, and most years have been contract years, so It is what it is. You go about your business, you work out, you skate, and then I'll be spending lots of time with family, 2 young kids, and so I'll get to enjoy being around and not being on the road anymore, right, for a while. So lots of relaxing, lots of hockey, lots of working out, maybe some golf, maybe some boating, stuff like that. So it'll be a nice calming summer to kind of reset and get the sights focused on next year.
Yeah, well, we'll be keeping an eye on it. Hopefully we see you back again next year. It'd be great to have you back in the organization again. It's been such a big piece of things here this year especially. So all the best with the summer, Sabs, and thanks for your help with everything else this year.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure.
With Sens goaltender Dillon Ferguson, who's had an interesting year, to say the least. Started with the Toronto Marlies, lands here in Belleville, and really, I think you excelled here with the Senators, and a big part of the push here at the end of the season. Thanks for taking a few moments for us, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
How has the season been for you now that it's done? Looking back on things, how would you kind of characterize it?
I think it was a pretty wild year, a little bit of a roller coaster year for sure. Like, I sat on a PTO for a lot of games, just practicing every day and waiting for a moment, an opportunity like the one I got here in Belleville to come up. So really grateful for that opportunity.
We talked with Matt Boucher kind of about that PTO lifestyle, if you will. How tough is that to have that kind of uncertainty around where and when you might be playing through a season?
Yeah, it's tough. I've never had to deal with it. I'm pretty fortunate to have some good supporters around me, and I think my mindset through it all was just I got to be ready for an opportunity if it arises, and so every day just try to be the best version of me at the rink, and something comes up, I want to feel like I'm ready to go.
You seized that opportunity here, to say the least. You were the talk of the hockey world, it seemed, for a while after the debut in Ottawa. Nice to kind of have that kind of success, given the way that the season started for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Things happen really fast, right? And I feel like my whole career it's been like that. So it's just another really great opportunity that kind of takes me back to what I said just a few seconds ago. Just you got to be ready for whatever comes your way.
You certainly have to be happy with the way your season ended. How much of that can you carry on into the off season, and what does your off season kind of look like? Will you go back to Vancouver Island and train there? Yeah, that last one definitely felt good. It was a fun game. The guys put up a touchdown again, so grateful for that. And it's a good way to end the season for sure for me. I'm a guy that likes to take a little bit of time. Just to enjoy time with family and friends, and I think that's what I'm going to do for a little bit here, and then I'm probably going to be bouncing around a couple places for training, and just kind of see where the summer takes me. Is there a goalie coach that you tend to train with in the off season? Yeah, I like to work with Eli Wilson. I get a couple camps in with him if it's in Toronto or Edmonton.
On the contract side. Looking ahead, is this somewhere you'd maybe like to see yourself land again? Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of fun here, and it's a great group of guys, and it's I got a great opportunity here, and I feel comfortable here. Yeah, you look comfortable here as well, and like I said, a big piece of that push late in the season. Thanks a lot for the time in the short time you were here and today, and all the best through the summer and heading into next season.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it.